How's going, guys? Welcome to the channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto became the catalyst Maelstrom and built Harem in Mass Effect? Part 3. Huge shout out to Never Ending Dawn for this story. If you wants to see awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get into the video. Commander, he uttered. He then jerked his head to point her in the direction as he continued. It looks like we are about to find about any survivors. Shepard looked to see a young man sprinting towards them. Lowering her weapon, but still keeping a firm grip on it, she walked up to meet him. He stopped and took a few deep breaths before exclaiming in clear relief. Finally! We thought no one was ever going to come help. Calm down. What is the situation? Shepard calmly questioned. The man looked surprised before blurting out. What do you mean? How can you not know what is going on? Shepard's eye twitched in irritation, but she kept her cool long enough to explain. The Geth seem to have set up a communications jammer somewhere. Any messages you've tried to send haven't gotten through. The entire colony is silent to the rest of the galaxy. All we got was a quick message saying that the Geth were attacking. So what is the situation? She ended in a commanding tone. They attacked out of nowhere. People were killed before we even knew what was happening. We were pushed back to Zhu's Hope before we could even put up a defense. We're holding on, but the Geth are attacking every few hours. We're exhausted and almost out of supplies. We were really starting to lose hope before you arrived, he explained rapidly. Shepard nodded before asking, Do you know why the Geth are here? The man shook his head before answering. No, I'm sorry. You should talk to FAI Dan. He's our leader. He can tell you more. Shepard opened her mouth to say something else, but something caught Naruto's eye. He quickly yelled, Get into cover! The entire squad reacted immediately and dived into what sparse cover the walkway provided. The man didn't though, instead looking around in confusion. Naruto growled before using a burst of speed to grab the man and drag him into cover behind a crate right before several bursts of gunfire erupted. The Geth had been sneaking up behind them while they were distracted by the conversation. Naruto looked at the man and ordered, Stay down and don't move. Naruto didn't bother waiting for him to answer before he acted. Naruto pulled out his pistol and popped up, ready to shoot, but didn't shoot a single shot before quickly taking cover again. Naruto cursed as he realized something he had forgotten to ask. Where the hell do you hit one of these walking computers to shut them down? Sighing as he realized he had to rely on some brute force for now, Naruto switched his pistol for his assault rifle. Naruto saw Tali shooting at one of the enemies, but she then was forced to take cover when return fire came. Using the direction she had been facing to find a rough location of the enemy, Naruto popped up. Immediately seeing the Geth, Naruto unleashed a burst of gunfire. Its still recovering shields were quickly taken down, allowing Naruto to blow off its flashlight head thingy. Naruto then dropped down before the rest of the Geth could focus on him. Naruto! Naruto focused on Shepard, who quickly started using basic hand signs to give him orders. It was very easy for Naruto and Kuratsuchi to fully memorize the Alliance hand signs when Shepard had given them a copy. Naruto nodded in understanding to the plan. Shepard signed to the others. She then yelled, Now! Kaden, Tali, Geras, and Kuratsuchi all popped up and unleashed a wave of fire upon the remaining Geth. Naruto and Shepard meanwhile dashed forward while the Geth were distracted by the suppression fire. Both of them took cover far closer to the remaining Geth. When the cover fire ended, Naruto and Shepard both unleashed another wave of fire from close range as the Geth popped up. Several fell, and the rest of the group moved forward as well. The team quickly started advancing and bringing down the Geth after that. They soon hit a snag though. Several Geth had posted up in a concrete structure just around a 90-degree turn of the walkway. Geras and Shepard had managed to squeeze into what little cover there was, but they were prevented from even emerging from their cover due to the Geth taking turns and laying suppression fire. If anyone went around the curve, they would be wide open to the Geth fire. Naruto! Do you have any tricks that can help us here? Shepard managed to say coolly despite a burst of gunfire hitting the ground just a few inches from her hip. Of course, Naruto replied with a carefree grin. Naruto turned to Kuratsuchi and spoke. Kuratsuchi! Shunshin in 5. I got the left, you take the right. She nodded in acceptance. In unison, the two made a hand sign and disappeared with only a gust of wind to announce their departure. They then appeared silently between the Geth. Without the Geth even realizing that they were there, the two attacked. Naruto drew one blade of Kiba and slashed the nearest Geth in half. He then lifted his other hand, which had his assault rifle, and unleashed fire upon the other from barely 4 feet away. Its shields quickly dropped and the Geth was immediately destroyed by the point-blank assault. Naruto lowered his rather hot weapon and turned to see that Kuratsuchi had taken out the other two. The two exchanged a nod and Naruto called out, "Shepherd! It's clear!" Shepherd quickly moved towards them. She glanced at the destroyed Geth before commenting, "Nice job." Naruto shrugged before joking, "It's kind of what we do." Shepherd shook her head before turning to the man from before that was walking towards them nervously. She immediately ordered, "We'll advance towards Ju's Hope, taking out all the Geth along the way. Follow, but make sure to stay far enough back that you aren't in any danger. Everyone else, be careful. Naruto, Kuratsuchi. You two are the closest thing to shock troopers that we've got right now, so you'll be in front. Gurus and I shall follow, with Tali and Kaden in the back." The group nodded and quickly started moving forward. Naruto eyed their surroundings as the group walked into a structure filled with concrete stairs, making sure to check if there were any hostiles. He tilted his head slightly as he heard a slight scratching noise. Without looking, he lifted his left hand and spoke, "Chidori's sharp spear." Sparks danced along his arm before it solidified into a rapidly expanding spear. It soon pierced into one of the concrete pillars. Naruto turned his head to see that he had pierced a weird-looking Geth that had been sticking to the wall right through the chest. The thing was struggling with jerky movements, no doubt already damaged due to the attack. Naruto calmly pulled out his pistol and shot it 3 times. Once it stopped moving, Naruto stopped the technique, allowing it to limply fall. Naruto then quickly had to dodge as several sniper rounds passed right through where he had been standing. Kuratsuchi managed to down another one of the weird spider-like Geth before 3 more forced her into her own cover. Naruto just watched as Shepherd and Gurus faced the threat, and was quite impressed by what he saw. The two were very calm, working in tandem to take out the fast-moving targets. Shepherd quickly launched a biotic attack when 2 of the enemies were close together. The singularity managed to pull both into the air and leave them helpless for Gurus to take down. The two then worked together to keep the last one moving too much for it to take any shots of its own. After that, it was only a matter of time before the two finally brought it down. The group advanced quickly after that. They ran into a few more Geth, but they quickly managed to take down the smaller groups. It only took them 5 minutes to reach the colony. There were several metal barricades which concealed several lightly armed humans. As the group approached, one of the humans said in relief, "Thank God, reinforcements. You should talk to FAI Dan. He's our leader." Shepherd nodded and led their group a bit further in. She then turned and ordered, "Take a quick breather for now while I talk to this FAI Dan." When she turned to leave, though, Naruto grabbed her wrist with a firm grip. She tuned and gave him a questioning look. Naruto quickly looked to confirm that none of the colonists were within hearing range. Naruto quickly told Shepherd in a serious tone, "Shepherd, something is wrong with these people." Shepherd raised an eyebrow before questioning in an equally serious voice, "What do you mean? Are they sick or something?" "Something is wrong with their minds. It is difficult to explain. Their minds are conditioned or something. They all have similar brain waves. They even seem to be connected to each other. There is also a connection with something else," Naruto informed her awkwardly. Shepherd's eyebrows furrowed before she asked, "Can you be any more specific?" Naruto shook his head before admitting, "No. At least not unless you want me to forcibly mind fate one of them. I just wanted you to know. They don't have any intention of hurting us right now, but I just wanted you to be careful. Something is wrong with these colonists." Shepherd nodded before responding, "All right, thanks. Everyone be on the lookout for any suspicious behavior." She then turned and left. The group quickly split up to do their own things. Naruto quickly moved into an open space away from any of the colonists. He then took a few breaths and stilled for several moments before letting out a sigh. He had been expecting this, but it was still a disappointment. There wasn't any nature chakra here. He had suspected that no other planet would have nature chakra after learning more about it, but that didn't stop him from hoping. He certainly didn't need Sage Mode for fighting anymore since he had access to all of the Jubi's chakra, but it still made him uncomfortable to not have it around him. Naruto was a sage. It felt like a piece of him was missing when he couldn't feel nature chakra around him. Like a limb was missing all of a sudden. Naruto took the next few minutes to relax himself. It was over far too quickly when Shepard waved him over to where the group was gathered. When everyone was there, Shepard explained, "I talked to FAI Dan. He told me that the Geth attacked the Exogeny headquarters first. We'll probably receive answers there. First we'll help the colonists though. The colonists need food, water, and power. The Geth also seem to have a transmitter that they are using to coordinate, and likely jam all other communication. So we'll go into the tunnels downstairs." "Commander, is this really necessary? Shouldn't we focus on why the Geth are here?" Geras quickly questioned. Tali immediately protested. "Of course we should help them. They are in dire need of aid." "I understand what you mean, Geras, but we can't leave these people like this. The Geth are continuing to attack, so they must want these colonists gone for some reason. I'm not planning on letting them succeed," Shepard declared seriously to Geras. Geras reluctantly nodded in acceptance. Shepard then finished, "So let's head out." The group quickly walked to the other side of Zhu's Hope. They walked past the several man barriers and entered a tunnel. The group advanced till they found a staircase. They proceeded downwards, but were interrupted when a Geth came around a corner. Most of the group dived into cover, but Naruto just let out a burst of gunfire from his assault rifle. The bullets managed to take down its shields, but it then overheated and stopped firing. The Geth was about to fire, but Naruto was faster. Holding his assault rifle in his left hand, Naruto used his right to draw his pistol. The first shot destroyed its flashlight head, but Naruto let out 2 more shots that connected with its torso. The Geth dropped, only for a few of its buddies to come around the corner. That was enough for Naruto to move in to cover himself. A firefight followed between the two groups, with the Geth definitely getting the worst of it. There wasn't any cover near them, and Naruto's group wasn't in any mood to allow them to find any. The Geth were soon turned into scrap metal by the group. Shepard moved cautiously as she peeked around the corner before she signaled that it was clear. The group moved quickly. At the bottom of the stairs they found a door that led to a very long tunnel. Running along one side of the tunnel was a metal pipe. Tali quickly stated, "I think this is a water pipe." "I think so too. Here's a water valve maintenance station. Let's see if I can reactivate it," Shepard stated as she started messing with a small screen on the pipe. After tapping buttons for several moments, the group heard a sliding sound. Shepard growled in annoyance before explaining to the group, "I managed to reopen this valve, but it says that 2 more valves have been closed by the Geth. We'll have to open them for the colony to have water." The group advanced again, but soon found an intersection blocked off by Geth. Luckily there were only 3 of them. Geras sniped one before the Geth even realized they were there. Shepard and Kaden both let off biotic attacks which seemed to explode once they touched their targets, taking out the other 2. The group moved to the intersection. Shepard looked around for a moment before sighing and saying, "It looks like it is time to split up. My team will continue following the water pipe. Geras, your team will go to the right. Based on these skyscrapers, I doubt either will lead that far. Once you hit a dead end, rally back here." "Got it, Commander." Geras spoke seriously. Shepard nodded and led Kuratsuchi and Tali away. Geras then turned to Kaden and Naruto and ordered, "Naruto, you'll be in front. Kaden and I will be following. Let's go." The 3 got into position and walked up to the door. Naruto opened it, but 2 shots immediately rang through the air. Naruto cussed as he clutched a wound in his right shoulder. 2 Geth snipers were on an upper balcony, just waiting for someone to open it. He quickly moved into cover before they could fire again. Naruto quickly checked the wound. It wasn't bad. It seemed that his shields had stopped one and slowed the other. His armor then seemed to have absorbed some of the impact. It was more a scratch by Naruto's standards, but that did not mean he didn't want to rip those two Geth apart with his hands though. Naruto looked over to see that Geras and Kaden weren't able to get any shots off. Geras because one of the snipers was preventing him from aiming. Kaden because he only had a pistol, and the enemies were too far away. They really had them trapped. Naruto quickly yelled to Geras. "Be ready, Geras. I'm about to distract them." Geras nodded. Naruto sighed and popped up from his cover and started peppering the two snipers with gunfire. From this distance their shields were holding up. Naruto didn't mind though, instead carefully watching their weapons. When the weapons were almost aimed at him, Naruto ducked down in time to avoid the two shots. He might not be fast enough to dodge bullets, but he sure as hell was fast enough to avoid letting two hunks of metal draw a bead on him. Geras managed to use the small window of opportunity to fire off a shot on one of the snipers. Unfortunately, its shields held. Fortunately, it ducked down afterwards, leaving its partner alone. Naruto popped up again and fired at the remaining sniper. It ducked down as well once its shields were depleted. Naruto was wondering about using a shunshin to get close enough to finish them off, but Kaden acted before he had decided. Kaden pulled out a grenade and threw it towards where the two Geth were hiding. His aim was true and the grenade managed to land on the balcony just before exploding. The three watched carefully for 30 seconds in case one of the Geth popped up, but they soon concluded that the two were destroyed. Naruto quickly commented, "Nice throw, Kaden." "Thanks, but let me put some Medigel on that wound." "I've got some," Kaden said as he approached Naruto. "No need. Look," Naruto claimed with a chuckle. He stretched the hole in his armor to show just flawless skin underneath. Naruto quickly explained, "A scratch like that won't bother me." Geras nodded before saying, "All right, but we should be more careful from now on. That might have very well hit you in the head. So open the door from the side from now on." Naruto nodded in acceptance of the order. The group set off again. They walked down several empty hallways. After a minute of encountering no enemies, Naruto peeked around a corner to see a Krogan facing the other way. Naruto backed away from the corner slowly before turning back to Geras and Kaden. "A Krogan. Facing the other way. Doesn't know we are here," Naruto told them in a whisper. Geras nodded and thought for a few moments before ordering, "Okay. We'll take it down before it even knows what is happening. Kaden, use overload to take down its shields. Naruto and I will then riddle him full of bullets." The two nodded. The three carefully rounded the corner to see the Krogans still facing the other way. Geras nodded at Kaden, who started messing with his Omni tool. Sparks flew off the Krogan's armor, causing it to grunt and turn around. Too bad it just turned to face Naruto and Geras holding assault rifles. They both opened fire right into the Krogan's face. With no shields, it immediately fell. Geras continued firing for a few moments even when it was on the floor to make sure it was dead and not just regenerating. A large pool of blood quickly spread from the body. "Got it," he deadpanned. Naruto tilted his head when he heard something. Naruto cursed before declaring, "We got incoming, Geras." Geras looked up just in time to see two more Krogan enter the room. The two Krogan roared before charging. Geras quickly ordered, "Back in the corridor!" Naruto grimaced at that, sort of wanting to fight another Krogan up close, but followed the order. The three moved to the opposite end of the corridor. Kaden and Geras used the edges of the corridor as cover while Naruto just crouched down in the middle. "Kaden, use lift on the first Krogan to enter the corridor. Naruto, let's take the other one out." Geras spoke calmly as he switched his assault rifle for his sniper rifle. As soon as the two Krogan rounded the corner, Kaden threw a biotic attack which quickly lifted one Krogan into the air, where it actually started cussing as it floated. Naruto and Geras started firing at the other one. Its shields held up under the first shot of Geras' sniper rifle and Naruto's assault rifle. Geras' second shot though pierced through and hit the Krogan in the knee, causing it to stumble. Naruto took the opportunity to target its exposed face. He kept firing until his assault rifle overheated. "Guys, help would be appreciated," Kaden said as his attack ended. The other Krogan dropped back to the ground. It quickly stood up, completely ignoring Kaden firing with his pistol at it. Before it could try charging again, Naruto moved in front of it with a burst of speed. It tried to lift up its shotgun, but Naruto was faster. One swing of Kiba sliced off the arm holding the shotgun, while the other came in and bisected the Krogan. The two halves of the Krogan fell to the ground. Kaden quickly added, "Thanks." Naruto shrugged and responded, "No problem." Naruto then stabbed Kiba through the head of the bisected Krogan, which was still actually moving. He then did the same to the other Krogan, which had been twitching. Naruto swung the swords to get off some of the excess blood before placing them back on his back. Geras looked at the Krogan he had cut in half before commenting, "Cutting a Krogan in two. I take back my earlier feelings about those swords." Naruto smirked as he exclaimed, "I told you. Swords are awesome. Me wielding swords is double awesome." "You have a high opinion of yourself, don't you?" Kaden asked in an amused voice. "Of course, but it's part of my charm," Naruto claimed with a carefree grin. "Let's get back on topic. Usually Krogan are alone leading teams of Geth. The fact that 3 were here indicates they were guarding something of value. Let's see what it is," Geras informed them. They nodded and quickly crossed the room where they had encountered the first Krogan. They turned a corner and saw a machine there. Geras approached it and started tapping a screen. He soon explained, "Looks like this is the Geth communicator/jammer. I'll shut it off, but we should make sure they don't simply restart it. Hold on a moment, there. It's off. Naruto, think you can cut this thing up a little?" Naruto just grinned and cracked his knuckles before replying, "Of course. Who do you think you are talking to?" Geras immediately replied wittily, "A blonde with very high opinion of himself." Naruto just shrugged as he approached the machine. "I told you. It's part of my charm. Plus, I never make claims without proper reason. Make no mistake. I know my limits. It just so happens that I don't have too many." Naruto drew and slashed with one of the Kiba blades, slicing through the metal like butter. The blade was too short to cut all the way through, but it was more than enough to make sure that the machine was inoperable. The group then backtracked to the intersection where they had split from the others. Shepard hadn't come back yet, so they were just waiting. Naturally, Naruto got bored. He soon wandered down the left corridor, which ended in a weird tilted wall. Naruto looked closer, but the wall then shot upwards, showing that it was a door. Naruto blinked before turning and walking back to the other two. "Hey, Geras, Kaden. There's a door down this way. Let's check it out," Naruto exclaimed excitedly. Kaden immediately replied, "We really shouldn't, Naruto. The commander told us to wait here." Geras looked hesitant before finally saying, "We'll check it out. It doesn't look like Shepard is going to be back soon. Might as well make sure there isn't anything that way." Kaden looked like he disagreed, but reluctantly assented. The group walked through the door. They looked around to see that this was a very large room, filled with quite a bit of rubble. Kaden soon spoke up though. "Varen, for a clock." Naruto and Geras turned to see a pack of Varen running towards them. The 3 immediately opened fire. Geras shot one through the eye with his sniper rifle, with another one soon following it. Kaden used lift on one and then finished it off with his pistol. Naruto used his assault rifle to take down 2, but soon saw that several would get in close with the group. Naruto quickly put away his assault rifle to draw Kiba. Naruto jumped towards the Varen and started swinging. The blades cut through them like butter, bisected and eviscerated Varen falling around the shinobi. Geras and Kaden expertly managed to shoot several of the Varen while avoiding Naruto. Naruto soon paused as he thought that he had finished them all. He was proven wrong when he had to jump backwards to dodge. Naruto looked to see that the last remaining Varen had a red tint as well as being larger than the others. Naruto also saw several bleeding wounds from Kaden and Geras. Naruto was rather surprised it was still going. Naruto was cut off when it lunged for his neck. Naruto easily dodged. Instead of using Kiba to slash it in half though, Naruto decided to just kick it. Naruto's kick slammed into its underbelly with sickening force. The Varen flew through the air before slamming into one of the walls, a crack from the collision indicating that its back was broken. With the Varen dead, Naruto put away Kiba. The three then split up to look around the large area. Geras crouched over the lead Varan before commenting. I think this is the Varan that was preventing the colonists from hunting. They should be fine for food now. Kaden nodded as he examined an old Mako. He then questioned. Hey, Geras. Think the power cell in this thing could be used to power the colony? Maybe. Let me look, Geras stated as he moved over. He quickly opened up the engine and started rifling through it. Naruto was ignoring this though in favor of looking through some of the ruins. He could have sworn he heard something over here. Naruto's head whipped over as he heard another whimper. Moving closer, Naruto moved a piece of debris to see a nest of some sort. Inside the nest was something that resembled a puppy. Sort of. Similar in size to a newborn puppy, it instead was covered in very tiny scales. The top of it was black while the underbelly was red. It had little fangs sticking out from its jaws. It had round silver eyes without pupils too. It was a baby Varan. The little thing seemed incapable of walking yet, as it was sort of wiggling on the ground. It was also letting out occasional whimpers. Naruto grimaced and looked over at all the Varan corpses. Great, he had probably just killed its parents. He couldn't just leave it here to starve. Naruto bent down and picked the pup up, with the tiny thing easily fitting in the palm of his hand. Its undeveloped mind was soon projected to Naruto. Thankfully it wasn't hungry or anything right now. It had been whimpering due to the lack of any warmth nearby. As soon as Naruto picked it up, it curled up content against his warm hand. The cute scene solidified Naruto's decision to take in the little thing. Naruto soon walked over to Kaden and Geras before saying in an eager voice, Look what I found. The two saw the currently sleeping Varan baby in Naruto's hand. Kaden quickly said, A baby Varan. That is bad luck. It had better to put it out of its misery now. Naruto immediately protested. No way. I'm going to take it with us. What? Geras immediately exclaimed in shock. Naruto ignored his shout in favor of nodding with a satisfied look on his face. He quickly claimed, I'm going to take it with us. I'm going to raise it, and I shall call it Pip. Geras was speechless, while Kaden could only raise an eyebrow and question. Pip? Naruto shrugged before admitting. I don't know. The first name that popped into my head was Pippin, but that's a lame name. So Pip will have to do. Geras was palming his face in exasperation, but finally responded. Whatever. I don't care. Just hold this power cell. He then shoved a glowing blue rod into Naruto's hand that wasn't holding the newly named Pip. Naruto just shrugged and sealed it away. The group quickly moved out of the room to see that Shepard's group had made it back to the intersection. Shepard raised an eyebrow when she saw the group. What were you guys doing in that room? She questioned. Geras quickly explained. We arrived back before you guys and there was no sign of you returning yet, so we decided to check it out. Shepard had a slightly disapproving look on her face, but ignored it in favor of ordering. Report! Geras straightened as he answered seriously. The first tunnel soon brought us to the Geth communicator/jammer. We shut it off before returning. The room we just returned from though was infested by a pack of Varan. We eliminated them. The Alpha was probably the one preventing the colonists from hunting. So they should be free now. We also managed to extract a power cell from an old Mako which should hopefully be able to power the colony. Shepard nodded and looked at Naruto and Kaden before asking, Anything to add? Kaden shook his head, but Naruto eagerly held out his hand and announced, I found a pet. Shepard blinked several times in shock before she sighed and pinched the bridge of her nose in exasperation. She finally looked at Naruto and replied, I don't even want to know what is going on in your head to take a Varan for a pet, but I don't care. We seem to have completed all our objectives down here. My team managed to restart the water. Naruto quickly declared. Ha! We got 3 of the objectives while you guys only got 1. We totally won. Shepard did her best to ignore Naruto as she continued. We also found a colonist. He seemed insane. He sounded like he wanted to tell us something about the other colonists, but he then would scream in pain. Clearly something is wrong with them. Told you, Naruto added smugly. Shepard continued, still ignoring Naruto. We'll investigate after we drive off the Geth. Now that we have finished helping the colonists, we will head to the Exogeny headquarters. Shepard started leading the group back. They made it back to the colony quickly, since they had already defeated all the Geth in the area. Shepard turned back to them once they re-entered the colony. All right. I'll go talk to the people to tell them that we've fixed their problems. Naruto, give me the power cell. Now take a 10-minute break. We'll be heading to the Exogeny headquarters immediately afterwards, Shepard told the group before walking away. Naruto took this opportunity to run back to the Normandy. He luckily didn't run into any Geth. Joker let him in, but Naruto then sprinted past the confused Joker. Naruto moved down to the cargo hold. Scanning the area for a moment, Naruto soon moved towards Samui. Hey Samui! Naruto exclaimed immediately. Samui jumped in surprise before turning around to see Naruto. She then asked, Naruto! What are you doing he dash? Naruto cut her off by placing Pip in her hand and explaining furiously. No time to explain. I found Pip here, but I can't take him with me to the Exogeny headquarters. So can you take care of him? Thanks. Naruto then turned and sprinted away. Samui blinked in confusion before looking at the tiny Varan in her hand, which was looking back at her, seemingly confused as well. She finally muttered, So not cool, Naruto. So not cool. What is this thing? Pip didn't answer her. Naruto meanwhile was already halfway back to Zhu's Hope. He made it back in record time to see the group gathering. Naruto quickly joined them. Shepard nodded at Naruto when he joined. She then questioned, Is everyone ready? Everyone nodded. Then let's go. I'll make Naruto drunk? That is just asking for trouble, Part 2. Kuratsuchi! Kuratsuchi, where are you? Naruto yelled as he walked throughout the ship. He was currently on the command deck. His calling was stopped when Samui and Mabui walked onto the command deck. Mabui immediately raised an eyebrow before questioning. Naruto, what is going on? Why are you yelling? Naruto grinned happily at the sight of the two. He actually skipped over to the two before he questioned. Hey Mabi Samui. You two wouldn't happen to know where Kuratsuchi is, would you? Mabui and Samui looked at each other before Mabui claimed. Sorry, but no. We were talking to Dr. Chukwas when we heard your yelling. Naruto's shoulders slumped in disappointment, but he quickly perked up as he exclaimed. Oh well, I'll find her in a bit. I could actually use your help with something as well, Samui, Mabui. Okay, what is it? Samui asked calmly. Can you give me your underwear? Naruto asked with his hand out expectantly. Samui and Mabui blinked in shock for a moment before the two looked at each other. Samui shrugged before admitting. I guess that would be cool. I don't really mind, but considering the circumstances between Naruto and I, what do you think? Considering Naruto is drunk right now, it is probably better to just do whatever he asks, Mabui commented after a moment of thought. Both finally shrugged in unison before he reached behind their own backs. After a few seconds of maneuvering, the two managed to pull out their bras from inside their shirts. They then held them out for Naruto. Great, thanks. For being so cooperative, you both can keep your panties, for now at least. I might come for them another time, Naruto told the two eagerly as he grabbed the two very large bras, but he then tilted his head as he remembered something they said. Mabui commented they should do whatever he asks. Grinning mischievously, Naruto pointed at the two and ordered, Jump! The two very well endowed, and now braless, Kunoichi followed the order without hesitation. Naruto's eyes followed the jiggling of their breasts intently, his Sharingan activating to permanently etch this memory in his mind. They even kept jumping, prolonging the bouncing goodness. Naruto grinned perversely as he watched. Unfortunately, it was not to be. On their sixth jump, a kick collided with Naruto's head as a voice shouted, What the hell? Stop that! Naruto flew over before his head collided with a steel wall. He stayed still for several moments before he straightened. He turned to see that Kuratsuchi was the perpetrator. Instead of acting angry at being kicked, Naruto just chuckled perversely as he stated, Hee hee, I've found you, Kuro-chan. Kuratsuchi's instinct screamed to her to run before something terrible happened to her. Her pride, though, kept her rooted to the spot as she stared angrily at Naruto. As she stared at the drunk Naruto, though, she could also see a shadow of Jiraiya of the Sannin grinning perversely forming behind Naruto. As Naruto gained the same perverse grin on his face, Kuratsuchi knew she should have run. The two teams formed up as they walked past the barricades for Ju's Hope. Naruto and Kuratsuchi once again took the lead. They kept ready for any Geth to arrive, but it seemed unnecessary. They passed through the small area before the elevator easily. Piling in, they waited as the elevator rose. Shepard took this time to inform them. For any of you that don't know, the Exogeny headquarters is in another building. We'll be getting there by crossing the Skyway, a connecting bridge between the skyscrapers. We'll be exposed on it though, so be prepared for the Geth to try and stop us. They'll probably be bringing in the big guns. The group nodded in understanding, and readied their guns as the elevator slowed to a stop. As the doors opened, they were welcomed with the sound of gunfire. Not seeing any enemies yet, they moved forward cautiously. They turned a corner to find another barricade with colonists hiding behind it as several Geth advanced. The group quickly moved behind the barricade as well to assist. After that, it was quick and easy. 6 Geth troopers might be capable of overwhelming 3 untrained colonists equipped with pistols, but they fell very short of being able to take out their group. Thanks. We appreciate the assist, one of the colonists muttered in relief while breathing deeply. No problem. We'll try to clear out any of the Geth along the way to the Exogeny headquarters though, Shepard told the colonists. She then signaled to the group to advance. They didn't have to go far. The barricade had been positioned right over the Skyway entrance with a Mako sitting right before the closed entrance. Shepard ordered them. All right, everyone pile in. Kaden, you drive. Gurus, take the cannon. I'll handle the turret. As the back of the Mako opened and the rest piled in, Naruto and Kuratsuchi looked at each other before Naruto informed Shepard. Hey, Shepard. Kuratsuchi and I will just run along. Since you 3 got the Mako handled, we'd just be sitting there. We'll provide some support from outside. Shepard gave them a skeptical look, but no doubt remembered their abilities. So she just nodded with a sigh before reminding them as she walked into the Mako. Okay, but be careful. As I said before, the Geth will be hitting us with the big guns here. The stuff big enough to try and take the Mako down. Your personal shields won't much help you with those if you get hit. Naruto and Kuratsuchi nodded in understanding at the words. The garage door opened a second later, but the group was surprised to see the enemy right there. A large 4-legged Geth tank was there, a Geth armature, and 2 rocket troopers were flanking it. The 3 Geth managed to react quicker, and all 3 fired their weapons at the Mako. The pulse cannon hit first, and then the 2 rockets connected with the Mako's front. Naruto skidded away as he was buffeted by the resulting explosion. His hands had already run through a sequence of hand seals by the time he stopped. He raised his hand to his mouth with his thumb and index finger forming a ring. He took a breath and uttered, Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu. He then launched a large fireball at the armature. It connected and caused a small explosion, but the smoke quickly cleared to show that it only caused its plating to blacken and singe slightly. Naruto grimaced at that. He should have expected that a C-rank jutsu wouldn't be able to take out something like that. Seems Shepard was right about the big guns being brought out. Naruto wasn't the only one to have acted though. The Mako's cannon connected with the armature right after the smoke from Naruto's attack cleared. Unfortunately, the thing's shields held. Shepard focused the turret on the rocket troopers. She took out the one on the left easily, and Kuratsuchi used her assault rifle to take out the other one. The armature's cannon seemed to have recovered though, if the brightening lights seemed to be an indicator. Before it could fire though, the Mako lurched forward and collided with the armature. The armature's aim faltered and the cannon shot hit the ground 20 yards behind them. The Mako reversed away, and the cannon then hit the armature. This time its shields didn't hold, and the cannon took out a chunk of its body. The thing was still moving, but some fire from the turret soon stopped it. The group took several moments to recover from the short but intense conflict before they started moving out. Now that they weren't trapped in small corridors, Naruto and Kuratsuchi were capable of properly showing off their speed. The two easily kept up with the Mako, running in a smooth fashion with their arms flowing behind them. So the group's progress across the skyway went quickly. Not to say they didn't have a few challenges. Several Geth rocket troopers were on the skyway, doing their best to pelt the Mako with rockets. The group quickly figured out a good strategy against these. Gurus didn't even bother targeting them with the cannon, leaving it to Shepard with the turret to fire at them from a distance. Once they got closer though, it was left to Naruto and Kuratsuchi. It was easy for the two to dodge any rockets sent their way as they closed with the Geth. Once close, the two didn't even need to stop. Naruto simply used one of Kiba to slice them in half, while Kuratsuchi would use her shotgun to destroy them from up close. It was an efficient system which kept them moving steadily for several minutes. The first real obstacle they had was when they spotted 3 armatures in the distance. 2 were together, with another a small distance behind them. The group moved with the certainty of knowing exactly what the others planned. Naruto and Kuratsuchi sped up and approached the 2 armatures in front, while the Mako targeted the one further back. It was pathetically easy for Naruto and Kuratsuchi to close with the armatures. Their cannons were focused on hitting the Mako, and they didn't even seem to consider the 2 humans, to their knowledge, as a threat. Naruto quickly moved to prove them wrong. Naruto jumped up in front of one of the armature's heads. He then sliced with one of the Kiba. It took a second for its head to fall off. Not sure if it could still fire its cannon, Naruto created 2 clones. Naruto himself reached up and gripped the armature's neck with chakra, while the clones did the same to its front legs. The 3 then acted in perfect sync, and with 3 simultaneous grunts threw the damaged armature into the air. The thing flew over the side of the skyway and disappeared on its long fall to the ground. Kuratsuchi meanwhile ran through hand seals as she approached her own armature. She then leaped up as she cried out, "Yotan Sekijio no Jutsu!" She then released a stream of boiling hot quicklime towards the armature. The thing screeched as the boiling liquid connected. It took 2 seconds before the thing blew up. Seemed that while they could handle a fireball, the hot quicklime was capable of seeping past its armor and melting its inner circuitry. The Mako had already managed its own. Kaden had managed to deftly dodge all the cannon shots except one by switching between reverse and drive. Shepard and Gurus had then concentrated their fire on the furthest armature. By the time Naruto and Kuratsuchi finished their own, a cannon shot destroyed most of its body while the turret took off most of its head. It sank to the ground before blowing up. The group then advanced again while only having to deal with several groups of rocket troopers and a single armature. Just as the group was approaching the headquarters though, a Geth dropship appeared. It stopped briefly before the building and dropped 2 more armatures before leaving. Naruto and Kuratsuchi moved together to take out the one on the right, leaving the left to the Mako. The 2 ran through hand seals. Kuratsuchi jumped into the air again as she uttered, "Suetun Mizurappa." She then released a jet of water. Naruto then extended his hands and announced, "Raitun Kangekiha." Lightning extended from his hands and connected with the water technique, electrifying it. The collaboration technique connected with the armature, immediately causing it to short-circuit from the electricity. The 2 then looked to see the Mako was finishing the other. The group then quickly entered the building. This building seemed to be even worse than the one they had been in before. The entire track was covered with piles of debris, making the Mako proceed carefully in order to not get trapped. After a few minutes of slow progress though, the Mako stopped once they reached an intersection. There was a large platform which likely headed to the Exogeny headquarters and a staircase. Naruto waited as the Mako opened to let out the others. "Hey Shepard, why did we stop?" Naruto questioned quickly. "Sorry, I forgot you guys didn't hear. We really need to get you some radio headsets," Shepard stated sheepishly before she continued. "As we were advancing across the skyway, we picked up several radio transmissions. Seems there is another group of survivors. Tali managed to trace it back to this area." Naruto nodded and asked simply, "Down the stairs?" "That is what we suspect," Shepard answered before the group started to move down the stairs. As they walked though, Tali stepped by Naruto and Kuratsuchi and exclaimed, "Kila, you 2 were amazing. You managed to take down just as many armatures as us." Kuratsuchi shrugged as she replied nonchalantly, "It is no big deal. We are basically the strongest shinobi you can find. Still, hearing about your abilities and seeing them are completely different. Breathing fire, water, using electricity, and was that quicklime? It really is amazing, even for those of us with technology. Tali gushed. She then looked between the two before commenting. Your teamwork was also really good. I didn't see any hand signs or other method of communication. To be able to work together in such sync without communicating must mean you two really know and understand each other, huh? Kuratsuchi sputtered before replying indignantly. As if. Who would bother to understand him? Naruto immediately whined in a teasing voice. Ah, that's mean, Kuratsuchi. You know you love me. Kuratsuchi sputtered again as her face reddened, while Tali laughed at the byplay. By this time, though, the staircase had ended in a ramp. They moved down it and found themselves facing more barricades with several uniformed guards pointing guns at them. Luckily, they were waved through. As they approached the two people waiting for them, one of them stated, "That's close enough." He was a somewhat tanned man with his hair cut short. Naruto could practically feel the sliminess of his thoughts without even trying. Relax, Jong. They're obviously not Geth. The other quickly scolded with a hint of derision. It was a woman who was approaching her advanced years and had her brown hair cut short like a male's. The other man didn't seem to care for her words, as he reprimanded. Get back, Juliana. He then faced the group and questioned. Who are you? What do you want? I'm Commander Shepard. I'm here to remove your Geth problem. Shepard answered. You see, you worry too much, Juliana told Jong. And you trust too easily, Juliana, Jong responded. I'm just glad to see a friendly face. I thought we were the only humans left on this planet, Juliana stated, now facing the group. Shepard quickly informed the group. FAI Dan and some of the members of Zhu's Hope are still alive. Juliana turned towards Jong at that and questioned harshly. I thought you said they were all dead? I said they were probably all dead, Jong replied with a hint of anxiety in his voice. Tali interjected herself into the conversation now by announcing. They are somehow managing to survive, despite all that the Geth have done to them. We know what that is like. Those damn synthetics are relentless, Juliana replied with sympathy. Shepard decided to retake control of the conversation now and claimed, We'll do our best to help you, but first I need some information. What kind of information? Jong asked suspiciously. Ignore him, Juliana said immediately. Clearly she and Jong didn't quite get along. She then turned to Shepard and told her. The Geth are at Exogeny headquarters, just a bit up from here. Jong chimed in then. Those headquarters are private property, soldier. Remove the Geth and nothing else. I'm here for the Geth. I couldn't care less about your company's secrets, Shepard replied, her patience seemingly fading to be replaced by annoyance. Commander, before you go, my daughter, Lisbeth, she's missing, Juliana told the group, a bit of despair seeping into her voice. They shouldn't waste time poking around. We can do a proper account of our casualties after the Geth are gone, Jong stated without any care. Okay, this guy is officially a douche, Naruto decided. Even if the thoughts and feelings Naruto had been focused on hadn't already proven that. Juliana seemed to agree as she exclaimed furiously. That's my daughter you're talking about. She's still alive. I know it. Shepard sighed in a bit of frustration before questioning. Where do you think your daughter would be, Juliana? She was working in the Exogeny building when the attack came, Juliana informed them. Jong quickly stated sarcastically. Oh yeah, there are several places she could hide, for a short time. If she's in there, I'll do my best to find her, Shepard told Juliana. Thank you, Commander. That is all I can ask, Juliana stated gratefully. Shepard nodded and then asked, Do you have any idea what the Geth are after? Why they came here? I have no idea. We certainly haven't found anything of use. Something Exogeny is keen to remind us of, Juliana claimed while ending her statement with a glare towards Jong. We need to recoup our expenses. It's nothing personal, Jong stated coldly. We need to head out soon. Zhu's Hope is currently safe and has provisions. It might be a smart idea to move there before the Geth fill the skyway again, Shepard suggested to the group. No! Jong exclaimed in a panic. He managed to recover though when everyone looked at him. He then explained. We are already safe here, and the Geth might attack when we cross the skyway. It will be smarter to wait for the Geth to retreat. But we are almost out of supplies, Juliana protested. Since help has arrived, the Geth will soon be gone. We'll stay here, Jong announced firmly at the end. Shepard shrugged and ordered. If that is what you wish, stay here until I return. We'll help you then. She then turned and led the group back up the ramp. As they walked up, she turned to Naruto and questioned. Well? What did you find out? Naruto chuckled. Shepard may not be the sharpest person, but she sure as hell knew her team and how to use it. She had known he was scanning those two telepathically to gather information. Likely even stretched the conversation out to help him. It's rare I find a person as slimy and dishonest as Jong, but Juliana is clean, Naruto told her. He then grew serious as he continued. Jong definitely knows more than he's letting on. One thing I picked up is that he is literally terrified of going to Zhu's Hope. Something about a Thorian and the colonists being controlled. So you were right about the colonists, Shepard commented. Seems so, not that I had any doubt. Seems this Thorian is responsible. He also thought of the Thorian when you asked about why the Geth might be here, Naruto explained. Shepard nodded as she announced thoughtfully. That makes sense. Saren would no doubt be interested in this Thorian if it is capable of controlling people. For now, though, we need to clear out the Exogeny headquarters. We might be able to find out more there. The group nodded and they moved into the Mako while Naruto and Kuratsuchi stayed out again. They moved up the ramp and soon found themselves at the Exogeny headquarters. The group left the Mako and walked into the large entrance hall. They didn't get much time to look around before a large group of Geth arrived. This time it was a difficult fight. The Geth group consisted of 3 hoppers and a mix of various troopers, 2 rockets, 3 shock, and 6 regular. The hoppers were jumping around, using their mobility to set up good shots with their sniping weapons. The troopers were making sure to suppress them to make sure they couldn't take down the hoppers, and the rocket troopers were doing their best to bombard whatever cover they had. The shock troopers meanwhile moved forward to make use of their shotguns. That was what caused the tide turn though. Naruto managed to take one of the shock troopers down with Kiba, while Kuratsuchi and Tali both managed to down one with their shotguns. With some of the pressure relieved, the counterattack started. Kaden popped up and tossed a grenade near the Geth rocket troopers, although he ended up with a bullet in the shoulder due to the regular troopers. The grenade flew true though and managed to take down both rocket troopers. Shepard then used the singularity on the largest cluster of troopers. With 3 now floating in the air, the other 3 were taken down with the floating 3 soon following. Now with only the hoppers left, it was inevitable. Didn't stop the hoppers from making it difficult though. They were eventually brought down. The group then took a minute to recover. Kaden used Medigel on his own wound before moving over and treating Gurus, who had taken a bullet to the side from one of the hoppers. Shepard looked at all of this before announcing, "We are going to stick together for now. It seems the Geth are here in force. Splitting up will only make it easier for them to pick us off. Gurus, Kaden, both of you will stay in the back to give the Medigel some more time to work." When the group nodded, Shepard led them off. They passed through the entrance hall into another room. The doorway on the other side of the room was covered by a blue field of some kind. Tali approached it and announced to the group, "It's a Geth energy field. They've blocked us off." "Can you remove it?" Shepard questioned. "No. I'm guessing that the Geth ship latched onto this building is powering it. We either have to destroy the ship, get it off this building, or hack the entire Geth mainframe to remove it," Tali answered regretfully. Shepard sighed before ordering the group, "Look around for another way." Kaden quickly announced, "Here is a door. It's locked though. I might be able to unlock it." "Here, let me. That is my specialty," Tali said as she approached. She quickly started to push buttons on the control box for the door. It only took her half a minute to decrypt the unlocking sequence, and the door opened as she declared, And there it is. Easy as pie. The group moved through the door, but froze when they saw a Geth armature sitting in the room. It didn't move though, and Gurus announced, "It is deactivated." Naruto approached it before swinging Kiba, slicing off its head before putting 2 deep slashes into its body. He then put away Kiba with a sense of satisfaction. He turned to see the group looking at him, so he shrugged and claimed, "Hey, it may not be active right now, but it could at any moment. I don't feel like allowing that to happen." The group shrugged and turned a corner, only to find a dead end. There was a box there though. Shrugging, Shepard opened it to reveal several items. They all turned though when they heard some sparking and grinding noises. The armature seemed to have activated, but then it collapsed due to Naruto's previous actions. "Told ya," Naruto announced gleefully. Shepard chuckled and took out the items from the box. Kaden looked and explained, "Hey, these 2 amps are Polaris models. They are one of the best bioamps companies. Not the newest models, but still better than what we have now. Can't put them in now, but those could really improve our biotics, Shepard. And this is an Armali Omni tool. I could use that," Tali added when she looked. "So either we stumbled on a storage unit for whatever security forces Exogeny had, or the Geth left these to bait us for that armature. Probably the second. Either way, we'll take them. We still need to find a way further into the building. Start looking," Shepard stated to the group. A minute later, Naruto peered down a trench tunnel opening. Seeing a light at the end, Naruto yelled out, "I think I found something." The group came over and looked at the opening. "I'm not too confident about this. I don't suppose anyone found another way?" Shepard asked while looked at the group. Seeing everyone shake their heads, she sighed and continued, "Looks like we don't have a choice. Naruto, you are first. I'll go next. Kuratsuchi, you'll cover the rear." The group set out. Naruto soon found himself in the large trench area of a skyway entrance. The entire area was covered in debris that literally blocked off the skyway. As he moved forward though, he sensed someone. He jumped back as a shot rang out. He then turned to see a young woman clutching a pistol. "Damn it!" the girl exclaimed before actually looking at the group. She then continued in a rushed apologetic voice, "I'm sorry. I thought you were Geth, or one of those Varen." Naruto waved a hand nonchalantly as he claimed, "No problem." Shepard meanwhile approached the woman and told her, "It's okay. You're safe now, but why were you here in the first place?" "It's my own fault. Everyone else ran, but I stayed back to back up some data. Next thing I knew, the Geth ship had latched on and the power went out. I was trapped. I tried to get out, but the way was blocked," the woman explained. "We'll get you out as soon as we find out what the Geth are after," Shepard replied. "Then you need to stop the energy field. They put it up to make sure that no one would be able to gain access to the dash," the woman claimed before stopping and looking hesitant about continuing. Shepard picked this up and informed the woman, "I'm here for the Geth, and so it is vital I know what they are after. If you know something, please tell me." The woman still looked unsure, so Naruto added, "We already know about the Thorian." The woman looked at Naruto with wide eyes as she inquired, "What? How do you know that?" Naruto shrugged with a smirk as he retorted, "I have my ways. Just like how I know you didn't stay to back up data. You tried to send out information on the Thorian despite Exogeny's wishes, but the Geth cut off communications before you could." She looked at Naruto with a dropped jaw, completely shocked by his knowledge. Shepard looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow before turning to the woman and lying, "As you can see, we know a lot about what is going on. However, we need to be sure we haven't missed anything. Tell us everything you know about the Thorian." The girl looked resigned as she answered, "It's an indigenous life form. Exogeny was studying it." "Do you know where I can find it?" Shepard asked seriously. "I do, but we need to focus on the Geth for now. There is a databank further in the building with all the information Exogeny has on the Thorian. If you can get past the energy field, you can access it. I'll even give you my ID card to allow you to access the information," the woman stated as she handed Shepard a card. Shepard frowned slightly at not getting answers, but still nodded and asked, "All right, My engineer here stated that we'll likely have to stop the ship powering the energy field to get past. Any information you have that can help us? I've noticed the Geth laying power cables all over the place. If you follow the power cables, they'll likely lead you to the ship, but there are Geth all over the place, she told them after a moment of thought. We'll handle that, Shepard claimed confidently. She turned to leave, but Naruto asked the woman something. You're Elizabeth Bainham, right? She looked at him in surprise, although she seemed to be getting used to him knowing things he shouldn't. She just nodded and claimed, Yes, I am. Good. We met your mother. She's safe, and asked us to look for you, he informed her. Elizabeth smiled as she answered in relief. Really? Thank goodness. I wasn't sure if anyone had survived or not. No problem. Now sit tight while we handle the situation, Naruto told her with a smile that caused her to blush slightly. The group started moving away, but halfway across the room a group of Varen appeared from the debris. It was a large group, but they managed to handle them somewhat easily. Several survived long enough to get close, but they then met with Naruto's Kiba swords along with Tali and Kuratsuchi's shotguns. Once the Varen were dead, they moved on. They soon found a door into the facility. They advanced cautiously, expecting Geth to appear at any second. It wasn't until several minutes had passed that they heard something. They carefully moved up a crumbling staircase to see a Krogan angrily talking to a 6 hologram. Damn it! Tell me what I want or I'll blast your virtual ass into actual dust. Please contact your supervisor for a level 4 clearance exemption or arrange a meeting with Dash, the 6 replied blankly. Stupid machine! The Krogan exclaimed in irritation. Yeah, but it is only a 6. The eyes kind of creep me out. Their blank voice and everything. A voice spoke up from beside the Krogan. I know. Just talking to them pisses me off. Dash. The Krogan started before realizing that he wasn't alone. He turned with a cuss to see some blonde standing beside him without a care. He pulled out his shotgun and fired into the chest of the grinning human. As soon as he did, though, the human exploded in his face. The Krogan was thrown backwards in a daze. As he tried to get up again, though, a blade pierced through his neck. Naruto stuck the sword in deeper before pulling it out of the still Krogan. Ah, you have to love exploding clones. He then turned towards the group and announced, See, I took care of it. Shepard just shrugged in acceptance and approached the 6 stand. It appeared and said, Welcome back, Research Assistant Lisbeth Bainham. What can I do for you? What data was the previous user attempting to look up? Shepard asked. Fetching data. The previous user was attempting to access data on the study of subject species 37, the Thorian, the Vice stated. Tell me everything you told the Krogan, Shepard ordered. I was unable to provide any relevant data due to the user lacking the proper clearance. There is also a lack of new data for the species. All the sensors available at Zhu's Hope have been inactive for several cycles. What does Zhu's Hope have to do with the Thorian? Shepard questioned. Species 37 is located deep within the substructure of the Zhu's Hope outpost. Shepard nodded in understanding while Naruto started to understand. Shepard quickly ordered, Tell me everything Exogeny knows about the Thorian. The Thorian is a simple plant life form that exhibits sentient behavior uncommon with other flora. Through dispersion and eventual inhalation of spores, it can infect and control other organisms, including humans. The Zhu's Hope Control Group has returned interesting results. Before sensors went offline, almost 85% of all test subjects were infected. Shepard quickly questioned with anger rising in her voice. Are you saying that Exogeny knew its people were getting infected? It was deemed necessary to ascertain the true potential of Species 37. That explains everything. The weird brainwaves of the colonists, and why Jom was afraid of going to Zhu's Hope. He didn't want to get infected. Naruto muttered with righteous anger filling him. Tell me everything else you know about the Thorian, Shepard demanded, seemingly just as annoyed by the new information as Naruto. Species 37 was discovered several weeks ago when a research team was infected while examining ruins near the Zhu's Hope outpost. The outpost was quarantined immediately and study of the infection began. Within 21 days, 53% of colonists exhibited altered behavior. 28 days, 85%. The control manifests through an intense pain when directives are ignored. The effect is so severe that subjects are soon conditioned against even minor thoughts of rebellion. Observation indicates the Thorian views its thralls in a utilitarian manner. Care is taken to avoid injuring them, much as a craftsman takes care of his tools. As long as they are not against the creature's objectives, the infected are apparently allowed to live a normal life until specifically given a task. The Thorian appears to be a diffused creature. Its cognitive abilities are centered in large nerve bundles, but it receives sensory information from kilometers of meandering tendrils. We have found bundles 1 meter in diameter, but this is not enough to process such large amounts of sensory information. Either it processes information slowly or there is a far larger nerve bundle that we have not yet found. The Thorian does not exhibit the behavior of a predator. The release of spores is an act of survival, not aggression. It does trigger advanced behavior in the humans it has enslaved, but we are not sure whether it recognizes, or even is capable of recognizing, humans as anything but tools. It is sufficiently alien as to defy classification at this time. With the 6 done, Shepard turned and walked away. As they walked, she announced, "The Thorian has to be why Saren is here. Whether because of its control capabilities or otherwise is unclear, but irrelevant for now. We'll stop the Geth here before heading back to Zhu's Hope." The group nodded in assent as they started moving. After a few corridors, Naruto held up a hand. He then shushed them and pointed around the next corridor. As they looked, they saw 2 Geth shock troopers, praying at a bright orb in a room which had 2 of the Geth ship's claws in it. Naruto and Gura stood side by side as they took aim with their assault rifle and sniper rifle respectively. Shepard signaled them and they shot in unison. Both the Geth were taken out before they could even stand up. The group then moved over to the glowing orb. Tali looked at it and said, "It looks like they were worshipping this. The Geth worship the Reapers, right? So clearly it isn't outside their ability to believe in some greater being." Kaden added with a shrug. "We don't have time to dawdle here. Let's move on," Shepard told them after they discussed it a bit more. They continued moving through the building. They had a brief fight with a smaller group of Geth, but they quickly overcame them. They soon arrived in a large room where even more of the Geth legs were. "Same as before. We lack the ability to dislodge these," Gura stated in irritation. "Let's just keep moving. We just have to keep searching till we find out how to do this," Shepard told them seriously. They nodded and advanced. Naruto saw that the second leg had entered through a garage door. They looked down from the platform they were walking on and saw another group of Geth, with a destroyer among them. Unfortunately, the Geth had been watching for them and opened fire. The group crouched down to take cover, but they were trapped in the corridor. Knowing they had to spread out, Naruto looked at Kuratsuchi to see she was thinking the same thing. The 2 popped up and jumped over the edge of the platform. It was a good 20 feet down, more than any normal human could do without possibly hurting themselves. For them it was a small jump down. The Geth were surprised enough by the move that they didn't shoot at them till the 2 had managed to get into cover. With the Geth attention now split, Naruto saw the rest of the group was managing to make it down the stairs towards the ground floor. Naruto popped up and started shooting at the Geth, providing cover for the others. As he did this, he saw that the destroyer was approaching his and Kuratsuchi's position. When he crouched down, he looked over to see Kuratsuchi switching to her shotgun. The 2 nodded at each other. They waited till the heavy footsteps were just feet away. Naruto popped up and fired his assault rifle right at the destroyer. He fired till the destroyer faced him and aimed its pulse shotgun at him. He then ducked before he was hit by it at close range, not sure if his shields could take it. Kuratsuchi took the opportunity to pop up with her own shotgun. The first shot destroyed its shields, the second blew a chunk out of its torso and sent it to the ground, and a third made sure it was finished. With the main threat now gone, the group quickly handled the remaining troopers. They then looked around the lab that the Geth had been guarding. Tali quickly stated, "It looks like some sort of containment lab. It might be our best chance to get rid of one of these claws." "All right. Spread out and see if there is anything we can use. Explosives. Anything," Shepard ordered the group. After only a moment, she announced to the group as she read a monitor. It looks like that garage door is malfunctioning. Apparently, it will snap shut hard enough to cut through steel within a certain pressure range. Tali, think you can calibrate this thing to within that range? With one hand tied behind my back, Tali claimed confidently. She then proved it by using only one hand, and within 10 seconds the group turned to see the garage door faltering. It then came down with a mighty screech. The guest ship leg held it for a moment before it was cut through. The group heard the other legs dragging as the weight they were supporting increased. Come on, fall you son of a bitch! Gurus muttered as they watched the ship stubbornly stay anchored. Finally, with a terrible grinding, the other legs started sliding back as the ship lowered. Once it lost its foothold, the ship fell down off the building. 15 seconds later they heard an explosion and felt the building shake as the ship exploded right by its base. Good thing this place was sturdy, thought Naruto. Being in a collapsing skyscraper doesn't sound fun. Alright, that got the job done. Now we can go and deal with this Thorian thing, Kaden told the group enthusiastically. Before they could set off though, they all heard Shepard's radio go off. She put it on speaker so they could hear Joker's voice as he said, Normandy to shore party. Are you reading? Anyone there? Come on, Commander, talk to me. I'm reading you, Joker. What's the situation over there? Shepard questioned since they had been cut off from the Normandy due to the energy barrier. We're in lockdown here, Commander. Something happened to the colonists. They're banging on the hull, trying to claw their way inside. They're freaking out, Joker informed them. They can't do any real damage. Just hold on. We're on our way back, Shepard ordered calmly. Yeah, I guess you are right. We'll just be waiting here for you, Joker replied, obviously reassured. The connection was then cut. Seems that the Thorian has decided our use has ended now that we've eliminated the Geth. Maybe it even suspects we know about its presence. Either way, you can bet it will be having the colonists prepare for us at Ju's Hope, Naruto declared seriously. Looks that way. Let's get going, Shepard replied crisply. The group worked their way through the building while picking off any remaining Geth that crossed their path. They quickly found themselves back at the entrance since the energy field wasn't blocking them anymore. They found Lisbeth waiting there. She quickly approached the group as she exclaimed, There you are. I've been waiting. We should get out of here. I still don't think this place is safe. Hold on. I need some answers, Shepard claimed seriously. She then continued, You knew more about the Thorian than you let on about. Lisbeth hesitated, but finally spoke in an apologetic tone. I'm sorry. I was afraid. They threatened me after I protested what they were doing to the colonists at Ju's Hope. They told me I'd be next. When the Geth attacked, I thought it was an opportunity to send a message to Colonial Affairs. I tried to send them a message about the Thorian, but the power cut off before I could. Just like he said before. I never meant for this to happen. You have to believe me. Naruto quickly interjected. Don't worry. We believe you. I sort of have a built-in lie detector. Shepard picked up that he was saying she was telling the truth, so she added. Yeah, don't worry. We'll do what we can to help the colonists, but you need to tell us where we can find the Thorian. Lisbeth quickly told them. Exogeny never specifically saw the main body, but we theorized based on the tendrils we found. The main body should be right under the Ju's Hope colony, but the entrance was blocked by the colonists with a freighter just before the Geth attacked. We will deal with that. For now we need to get back to Ju's Hope, Shepard replied. The group moved forward. Lisbeth joined the others in the Mako while Naruto and Kuratsuchi stayed out. The group then moved down the platform, but the Mako stopped by the staircase to the group of survivors. The back opened and Lisbeth rushed out. Shepard and the rest soon followed, although they were calmer than Lisbeth had been. What is going on? Naruto asked Shepard curiously. We picked up a transmission from Juliana asking for help. Jong apparently then took the radio away before we could get more. Lisbeth demanded we check on her. Shepard answered coolly as the group moved down the stairs. Naruto nodded as the group walked down the ramp towards where the survivors were. They saw Lisbeth hiding behind a box, eavesdropping. The group joined her. They saw that Zhang and Juliana were in the middle of an argument. Juliana declared, "You can't do this, Zhang! Everyone shut up! Just let me think," Zhang ordered in a panic as he clutched his head. Lisbeth turned to the group and asked, "What is going on? You won't get away with this!" Juliana yelled before they could respond. "Get her away from here," Zhang ordered the security guards. One grabbed Juliana, who started struggling. That caught Lisbeth's attention, as she stood up and screamed, "Get away from her, you son of a bitch!" She then ran forward before they could stop her. Juliana used the guard's moment of distraction to break free and run to meet Lisbeth while crying out in relief. "Lisbeth! Damn it! Get out here where I can see you! All of you!" Zhang yelled out in a panicked voice. Since the gig was up, the group stood up and walked out. Zhang immediately spat out, "Shepherd! Should have known I couldn't count on the Geth taking care of you. I found some interesting facts about you in the Exogeny database. I know what you did during the Blitz, but your heroics aren't needed here." "Shut up about the Blitz!" Shepherd immediately snapped with anger in her voice. Naruto raised an eye, catching the flood of guilt and shame Shepherd felt when the Blitz was mentioned. Shepherd continued though by demanding, "Now what is the problem?" "Communications are back up. Exogeny wants this place purged," Zhang told them reluctantly. "This is a human colony, Zhang. You can't just repurpose us," Lisbeth snapped indignantly. "This isn't about you. There is something here far more valuable than a few colonists," Zhang replied coldly. Shepherd quickly added, "You're after the one unique thing Pharaohs has. The Thorian." "The what?" Juliana asked in confusion. Lisbeth quickly explained, "It's a telepathic plant life form living under Zhu's hope. It has been taking control of the colonists. Exogeny knew all along. Exogeny decided to use the people living there as living test subjects in order to study the Thorians' mind control capabilities, and now that this colony will be thoroughly investigated due to the Geth presence, Exogeny has to get rid of all the evidence of what they've been doing," Naruto explained with a scowl, his anger finally ending his willingness to let Shepherd handle this. Juliana looked at Zhang and angrily stated, "You won't get away with this, Zhang. You keep saying that, but no one is going to miss a few humans. The Thorian is more important," Zhang replied without any care. That cut it for Naruto. Naruto moved faster than anyone but Kuratsuchi could track. Grabbing Zhang's clothing, Naruto easily lifted him into the air as he snarled, "Shut the fuck up. Exogeny could have studied the Thorian without using people as lab rats, but you decided to do it this way in order to save time and money." Zhang struggled pointlessly as he answered in fear, "It's true. A few humans aren't important when compared to the potential the Thorian might allow us." Naruto gave a vicious grin as he let Zhang drop, the man falling on his butt. Naruto then announced, "I see. If a few humans don't matter compared to the Thorian, then I suppose you won't protest becoming an experiment as well. We're heading to Zhu's hope. How about we take you along? It will probably only take a few hours for you to get infected. I hear the Thorian conditions you through intense pain. Doesn't that sound fun?" Naruto said as he gripped Zhang's clothes and started dragging him. Zhang struggled as he yelled, "What? Are you insane? You can't do this to me. Do you know who I am?" "But you said that a few humans don't matter compared to the Thorian," Naruto replied with a vicious smirk down at the desperately struggling man. "No, I won't be infected by that thing," Zhang yelled as he pulled out a pistol from a pocket. He pointed it at Naruto's head and prepared to fire. A shot rang out. Naruto frowned as he dropped the limp form of Zhang. He turned to see Shepherd holding her pistol. She quickly stated in a cold voice, "That is enough, Naruto." Naruto took a few deep breaths to calm himself before muttering, "Sorry." Shepherd sighed as she turned to look at the guards who seemed to be undecided with what to do. He quickly asked, "Do you really want to get into a gunfight with us because a dead man told you to protect him?" That caused the guards to back down. Shepherd turned to Juliana and Lisbeth before saying, "We need to go handle the situation at Zhu's Hope." You need to save the colonists. It's not their fault that they were infected, Juliana pleaded. I'm not sure how we can do that. We need to find out why Saren is interested in the Thorian, but I doubt it will cooperate. It will probably use the colonists to try and keep us away, Shepard stated thoughtfully. If you kill the Thorian, then the colonists will probably be released, Lisbeth told them. That seems logical, but that doesn't make it doable. It is still going to use the colonists to keep us away, Shepard replied regretfully. There has to be another way, Lisbeth exclaimed desperately. Maybe there is, Juliana claimed softly. She then explained. You might be able to safely use a nerve agent to neutralize the colonists. If these colonists are infected by some parasite, their nervous systems are probably weakened. We have some gas grenades here. We obviously couldn't use them against the Geth. They are too weak to affect healthy humans since they are designed to take down Varen, but they might be able to knock out the colonists. I guess it is worth a try. Give us the grenades, Shepard ordered the two. They nodded and the entire group each took several of the gas grenades. They then set off. After they reached the Mako though, Shepard stepped in front of Naruto. She then crossed her arms and informed him coldly. That is the only time I'll let you get away with a stunt like that, Naruto. You promised to follow my orders, and I won't allow a loose cannon to undermine my authority. You are lucky I was planning on killing him anyways. Naruto nodded regretfully before telling her. Sorry, I just got so mad. I was reading his surface thoughts the entire time. He would have sacrificed the entire colony for a promotion without hesitation. People like him don't deserve to live. They'll only ruin the lives of those around him. Maybe, but that doesn't mean you can just do what you want, Shepard told him as she turned away. Once they were all set up, they went back to the Skyway. They ran into a number of Geth, but the group easily handled them as they approached Shu's Hope. When the Mako stopped in front of the door though, a gray ball uncurled to show something that looked like a gray zombie. Naruto raised an eyebrow and started shooting it with his assault rifle. It took the bullets like a champ though. Even without shields it only fell a second before his rifle overheated. Its torso was basically been torn to shreds by that point. Naruto looked towards the Mako and yelled, Whatever these things are, bullets don't affect them much. They aren't the colonists though. No brainwaves whatsoever. It might as well be a puppet. The Thorian is likely controlling them. Trusting that they heard, Naruto opened the garage door. It opened to reveal at least a dozen of the Thorian creepers. The Mako's cannon started shooting at them. Leaving it to Gurus with the cannon, Naruto looked towards where he saw two colonists shooting from behind the barrier. Hope this works, Naruto muttered as he pulled out one of the gas grenades. He threw it with perfect accuracy right between the colonists. It exploded in a cloud of green gas. It dispersed several seconds later, but he saw the colonists wobbling before falling to the ground. He immediately fist-pumped as he declared, "Oh yeah!" The others then came out of the Mako. The group circled the colonists. Tali commented, "So it looks like the grenades work." "Yes, so we are to save the colonists." "No firing on them. Only use the gas grenades," Shepard ordered the group. They all nodded. They then took the slow elevator down. They moved cautiously towards Shu's Hope. As soon as they came in sight of the barricades the colonists had set up, they came under fire from them. Luckily, they mostly were armed with pistols. It would have been pathetically easy to finish them all, but it was slightly more difficult because they had to hit them with grenades. They still advanced quickly though, leaving a trail of unconscious colonists. After knocking out 16 colonists, it looked like they were alone. They then headed to the crane control panel. The freighter was apparently on top of the entrance to the Thorian. Tali quickly handled the crane to lift the freighter, revealing the staircase down. Before they could go down though, Naruto signaled the group. They turned to see Fai Den approaching slowly, looking to be going through an internal struggle. "I tried to fight it, but it gets in your head. You can't imagine the pain," Fai Den told them in a pained voice. He then continued in a seemingly determined voice. "I was supposed to be a leader. These people trusted me. I betrayed them by not fighting it. It wants me to stop you, but I won't. I won't let this thing control me. I won't." FAI Dan then forcefully lifted his pistol to his own head. Naruto moved first though. Appearing in front of him, Naruto moved the pistol away as it fired. He then whispered to FAI Dan, who seemed pained. Dying doesn't fix your sins. You can only do that by living and learning from this. I can't fight it anymore. FAI Fan whimpered as his arm tried to point the pistol towards Naruto. Don't worry. You won't have to, Naruto told him as his other hand touched FAI Dan's temple. Naruto dived into his mind, feeling the influence of the Thorian. Naruto used the connection to infiltrate the Thorian's mind. Barely a second later though, the Thorian cut the connection, thus removing Naruto. Naruto opened his eyes to see FAI Dan had fainted. Naruto lowered the man to the ground before turning towards the group. Shepard quickly asked, Did you remove the connection? Yes, but I also managed to use it to briefly gain access to the Thorian. It broke the connection before I could take control of it, Naruto told them. You can take control of it? Shepard asked curiously. When Naruto nodded, she said, Do you think you can take control of it to stop its control of the colonists? Can you pacify it? I could, but I won't, Naruto stated seriously. What? Shepard exclaimed incredulously before questioning rapidly. What do you mean? Naruto looked at her before explaining in a serious tone. Because it is immoral. Forcing it to do something simply out of convenience. I don't control people, Shepard. The Thorian considers all animals to be tools for its own use. It provided Saren with information due to what Saren was offering, but Saren's betrayal of it ruined all chance we had of trading with it. If I made it do what I wanted, I would be doing the same thing that it is doing to the colonists. I refuse to do that. I won't do it even if you order me to. That is a line I won't cross, Shepard. Shepard looked angry, but eventually sighed. She then replied, All right, you have a point. I can't force you to enslave the Thorian. Thank you, Shepard, Naruto exclaimed with a grateful smile. He then added, I did manage to get some information from it. As I said before, it traded information to Saren. The Thorian was alive back when the Protheans still lived. It studied them. Saren needed this understanding of the Protheans in order to understand the Prothean vision from the beacon. The cipher, Shepard stated with a grin appearing on her face. Yes, Naruto said, matching her grin. He then continued. Saren offered the Thorian an Asari commando in exchange for the information. The Asari melded with the Thorian to gain the cipher, and then melded with Saren to pass it on to him. The Asari was then absorbed by the Thorian. I could forcefully take the cipher from the Thorian, but it would be a difficult process. It is quite strong mentally due to how old it is. However, if we kill the Thorian, then the Asari will be released. We can gain the cipher from her. Shepard nodded in understanding. She then asked hesitantly, Are you sure we can't negotiate with the Thorian? Naruto shook his head as he explained. Not a chance. Saren ruined that possibility, but even before then it wouldn't release the colonists. It views them as its property. Killing it is the only way to release them. Shepard sighed, but nodded in acceptance. She turned to the group and told them, All right. We'll be eliminating the Thorian. The group then started down the stairs. After going down at least 10 flights of stairs, they reached a corridor. As they walked down the hallway, Kaden said, So now we just need to find what is that thing? That is one ugly-ass plant, Naruto commented as he looked at the main body of the Thorian. It looked like a giant mass of grayish flesh. It was being held in the air by tendrils. It even seemed to have a face. It had several indents that looked like where eyes and nostrils could fit, and its mouth was an opening surrounded by tentacles. It had a constant stream of drool leaving the mouth. It seemed aware of their presence. It seemed to grunt a few times before feet appeared in its mouth. An Asari then fell out at the opening. The Asari landed on a knee, but quickly straightened. The Asari was an unhealthy green color that didn't fit with any Asari Shepard had seen. The Asari then spoke in a dead-sounding voice. Invaders. Your every step is a transgression. 1,000 feelers appraise you as meat, good only for digging and decomposing. I speak for the old growth. It commands you that you be in awe. See. It considers us insignificant. It is just as likely to make a deal with us as we would to make a deal with the tree, Naruto stated as he looked at the Asari. The Asari looked at Naruto before uttering, "Abomination! You who steal the old growth's thralls and dare to challenge it. The old growth shall not tolerate such arrogance from meat such as you." "That really hurt," Naruto replied flippantly with a shrug. He then grew serious as he continued, "You already know how this is to end. You felt my mind just as I felt yours. I cannot stand by while you enslave people. Fool! Your arrogance amuses the old growth. The old growth is part of this world, extending through the land and back through the ages. You can no more kill it than you can cut the sky," the Asari said before reaching for her gun. Naruto beat her though, stabbing her through the stomach with Kiba before he whispered in her ear, "It is not arrogance. With my power, even cutting the sky is possible." He then withdrew Kiba, allowing the Asari to collapse. Several Thorian creepers appeared around the corner. The group took them out, although it was quite difficult since bullets didn't seem to bother them much. Once they were all down, Shepard yelled, "We need to take this thing out quickly." "Got it, Shepard. You guys hold this position. I'll handle Big and Ugly," Naruto called out. Shepard nodded, and the group set up to weather the approaching rush of creepers. Naruto turned back to the Thorian. Waving his hand, Naruto said, "Chidori Senban." A hail of Senban-shaped lightning flew to collide with the Thorian. Unfortunately, it didn't seem to have much effect. They just sunk in slightly before stopping. Frowning, Naruto tried a Chidori Iso, but the blade only sunk in half a foot or so. Naruto looked at the chamber they were in. He couldn't use any jutsu powerful enough to finish such a massive creature in here without risking the entire place falling apart and burying them. Deciding to get close, Naruto jumped onto the Thorian's main body. It wiggled somewhat, but Naruto remained sticking to it with chakra. Lifting Kiba, Naruto brought the two blades down onto one of the Thorian's tentacles. To his shock, they only sunk in a few inches. He then saw the electricity usually flowing through Kiba was gone, and he realized it was a plant. It was just grounding the lightning. Naruto sealed away Kiba since it was basically useless now. Since you can't flow chakra through Samahata, Naruto unsealed one of his chakra-conductive kunai. He then channeled wind-natured chakra flow through it, sharpening it and lengthening it to the length of a short sword. He then slashed the tentacle with it, and was gratified to see it cut a 2-foot-deep cut in the tentacle. Not as much as he expected, but good enough. This thing was tough, almost like cutting through a steel pillar. There were no doubt weak points, but Naruto really didn't want to have to search for them. It took 3 more swings of the kunai to cut the tentacle, drawing a muted roar from the Thorian. Naruto used this opportunity to access how the group was doing. Kuratsuchi and Tali were using their shotguns to hold the Thorian creepers off while Shepard, Geras, and Kaden fired into the masses from a distance. Kuratsuchi was holding her side due to her occasional use of a jutsu, but Tali was about to be overrun. Naruto unsealed the regular kunai that had an explosive seal around the handle. He tossed it into the mass pressing towards Tali, with the explosion providing her with a few seconds reprieve. Naruto looked towards the next tentacle. Deciding that the kunai was taking too long, Naruto unsealed a large Fuma Shuriken. He spun it in his hand while breathing wind-natured chakra onto it, soon turning it into a revolving disc of death. He then chucked it at the tentacle. It cut right through, embedding in the wall afterwards. The Thorian roared again. Naruto used chakra strings to pull the Fuma Shuriken back to his hand, but his shields popped up to block a sniper shot before he could throw it again. He moved to put one of the tentacles between him and the sniper. He then looked to see Geras reloading his sniper rifle. Naruto yelled out, "Geras! Help me out! Sniper at 1 o'clock!" Geras nodded and took an aim. A second later a shot rang out. Another followed, and Geras then nodded towards Naruto to signal the sniper was down. Naruto waved at him in appreciation before facing another tentacle. One throw later and the tentacle was cut. This one seemed to be the final one though. The last tentacle on that side snapped, sending the Thorian and Naruto flying into one of the walls. The Thorian roared as its tentacles strained and slowly tore. Naruto managed to grip a hand to the wall with chakra right before the rest of the Thorian's tentacles snapped. It plummeted into the deep hole. A deep thud several seconds later showed when it landed. The remaining Thorian creepers fell like puppets with their strings cut. Sensing heightening brain waves, Naruto yelled to Shepard. "Hey, Shepard! The Asari is on the 4th floor! Come up!" Naruto then hopped up the walls. Shepard arrived a minute later to see Naruto softly rubbing the back of an Asari, a broken pod on the wall behind them. Shepard immediately asked, "Is she okay?" Naruto nodded and answered, "Yeah, just disorientated." The Asari soon recovered. As she stood, the group saw that it was the Asari that had talked to them before. Her skin was a light violet color now. She then exclaimed with slight disbelief, "I'm free. I'm really free. I suppose I should thank you all for freeing me." "You can thank us by telling us everything you know about Saren," Shepard replied seriously. The Asari nodded and started to explain. "My name is Shirala. I served Matriarch Benizia. When she allied herself with Saren, so did I. Benizia saw the influence and power Saren had. She joined him in the hope that she could guide him down a gentler path, but Saren is compelling. Benizia lost her way. Saren has a vessel. An enormous dreadnought unlike anything I've ever seen. He calls it sovereign. It can dominate the minds of his followers. They become indoctrinated to Saren's will. It is subtle. It can take days or even weeks, but in the end it is absolute. I was a willing slave when Saren brought me to this world. He needed my biotics to communicate with the Thorian, to learn its secrets. Saren offered me in trade. I was to secure an alliance with the Thorian." Shepard immediately commented, "Saren was pretty quick to betray his own people. He was quick to betray the Thorian too. I sensed what happened after I was absorbed by the Thorian. After he obtained what he wanted, Saren ordered the Geth to destroy all evidence of his being here, including the Thorian. He knows you are searching for the conduit, and will need this cipher to understand the Prothean vision. So he attacked the Thorian to prevent you from gaining it." "Smart. Immoral, but still smart," Shepard remarked. "Yes, Saren is many things, but a fool he is not," Shirala told them. "I need that cipher in order to stop Saren," Shepard declared seriously. "I can transfer it to you through a melding. It is the least I can do," Shirala responded. "Hold on for now. We should first discuss this mind control Saren has." "You called it indoctrination?" Naruto interrupted. Shirala looked at him and nodded before clarifying. "Yes, I heard Saren call it that once. It is confusing to explain. You go to Saren sure of yourself, but as you stay around him and Sovereign you start to change. It is very subtle. You don't even realize it till it is too late. You find yourself a completely different person." We became slaves to Saren's will. We would listen to him talk and smile, even if we believed completely different just weeks before. Even now I can feel the compulsion in my mind, but it is muted. I believe the Thorian must have overridden it when I was part of it. As I suspected, Saren is capable of controlling people. That is why Benizia's behavior doesn't match, Naruto stated with a sigh. Benizia is an Asari matriarch. They are considered the strongest beings in the universe, with incredible mental discipline and biotic abilities. If Saren can control one, then that is very bad news, Kaden added in a worried voice. "We'll have to discuss this later," Shepard told them, although Naruto saw the worry in her eyes as well. She turned back to Shirala and claimed, "Okay, I need the cipher." Shirala nodded and approached till she stood face to face with Shepard. She then started speaking in a soft and soothing tone. "Try to relax, Commander. Slow, deep breaths. Let go of your physical self. Reach out to grasp the strings that connect us, one to another. Every idea sends ripples across the galaxy. Every idea must touch another mind to live. Every emotion must mark another spirit. We are all connected. Every living being united in a single, glorious existence. Open yourself to the universe, Commander. Embrace eternity." She ended by touching her palms to Shepard's face as her eyes turned black. The group watched as the two froze for several seconds before they broke apart. Shepard took several deep breaths. She finally muttered to herself. That was, it made no sense. Shirala straightened and claimed. I have given you the cipher, just as I gave it to Saren. The ancestral memories are a part of you, Shepard. You have been given a great gift, Commander. The experiences of an entire species. It will take time for your mind to properly assimilate all that information. I'm sorry if it is difficult, but you needed the cipher. It will eventually help you understand the vision you received from the beacon. Shepard nodded before asking. All right, but what do you plan to do now that you are free from the Thorian? I am unsure, Shirala admitted with a bit of a quaver in her voice before continuing. I had been planning on staying here with the colonists in an attempt to repay them for my part in their suffering, but I saw your memories when we melded. You saved them all. I now believe they can recover on their own. I might simply be an uncomfortable reminder of their suffering. I believe they would welcome any assistance you could provide, Shepard replied before adding. However, I would also be willing to welcome you on board the Normandy. I need all the help I can get if we are to stop Saren. Not only do you have information to offer, but you are an Asari commando. You'd be a great help. Shirala hesitated before replying. I thank you for the offer, but I admit to still being unsure. May I have time to consider? I still feel slightly off from the Thorians' remaining influence. Shepard nodded and answered. Of course you can. It is your choice, and anyone who joins me must be absolutely sure. Thank you, Commander. May fortune smile upon you. Shirala invoked in gratitude. The group then turned and started to walk away. Naruto quickly made his way next to Shirala and asked, Excuse me, Shirala. Do you believe you can allow me to access the cipher? Shirala looked at Naruto with a raised eyebrow before responding. Of course, but may we please delay it for a while? The melding can be exhausting, even to me. Naruto just smiled before explaining. No need. You don't need to meld with me. I am a telepath. I can access your mind myself. Shirala blinked in shock before questioning. Really? I've never heard of anyone other than Asari being able to do something like this. That is a long story. Let's just say I'm not a human. So what do you say? Naruto replied with a smirk. Shirala eagerly nodded before replying. Of course. I admit to being eager to witness this ability of yours. Naruto nodded and informed her. I just need to make skin contact. It should only take a second. If you can bring the cipher to the forefront of your mind, then it will make this easier. Naruto then touched her cheek with his hand as he entered her mind. Shirala immediately let out a silent scream as her eyes rolled back in her head. Naruto immediately recoiled and withdrew himself from the immense reaction he gained. He then had to catch Yala's limp body as she went limp. He quickly confirmed she was unconscious. Kila, what just happened? Tali questioned as the group looked at Naruto. Naruto looked at them with wide eyes as he claimed honestly. I have no idea. I went into her mind, and her mind lit up with ecstasy. I mean like more pleasure than I've ever sensed before. The group blinked in shock at his words. Caden tilted his head before saying, I've got an idea. The Asari have sex by melding their nervous systems with someone else's, right? This is how they meld minds and exchange memories. They can also derive pleasure from it, right? Well, if Naruto is able to do his own form of melding nervous systems through his telepathy, wouldn't doing so possibly cause them pleasure? Geras then added, and we heard that shinobi have highly advanced and powerful nervous systems. Naruto more so than anyone else. He apparently has hundreds of times more electricity running through his nervous system. If we assume then that the pleasure derived by Asari during meldings is proportional to the amount of energy in their partner's nervous system, then melding with Naruto would cause like. Kila, Tali muttered as she realized. Kuratsuchi then muttered in an irritated voice. Then it is practically an orgasm times 100. Asari Nirvana. The entire group's sweat dropped at that. Seems Naruto could cause an Asari untold of pleasure just by touching them if he wanted to. He turned to Shepard and stated, I think I'll just take the cipher from your mind. Shepard just nodded while massaging the bridge of her nose. She then replied, Alright, since I really doubt it would be healthy for Shirala to go through that for long. We can do it later. For now, carry Shirala. Naruto nodded and lifted Shirala over his shoulder as the group moved on. The group faced Juliana, Lisbeth, and FAI Dan. Juliana was supporting a tired-looking FAI Dan. Juliana then declared, I still can hardly believe all that had happened. Shepard nodded before saying sympathetically, I can sympathize. Your whole world has been turned upside down. What do you plan on doing now? FAI Dan was the one who answered. You've given us a second chance, Commander. Exogeny might withdraw their support, but we built this colony and made it our home. We won't abandon it. We'll survive. Good to hear. I hope it turns out well. We'll stay docked here for a bit, Shepard informed them. The group then started to move away, but FAI Dan called out, Naruto, thank you. I'm going to make up for my failings in this whole situation. Thank you for giving me the chance. Naruto looked at him with the still limp Shirala over his shoulder. He used his other hand to give him a thumbs up as he declared, It was my pleasure. Just remember that you can do great things as long as you don't give up. I expect to be hearing about this colony thriving in a few years. Don't disappoint me. You got it, FAI Dan replied with a smile. The group then headed towards the Normandy. The entire group sat in the comms/conference room. Liara quickly asked, Commander? You look pale. Are you suffering any ill effects from the cipher? Shepard hesitantly admitted, The cipher has shaken me up a bit. I might be able to help you. I am an expert on the Protheans. Maybe if I join my conscience to yours, we could make sense of it, Liara stated, admirably hiding the eagerness Naruto sensed from her. No doubt she was salivating at the thought of gaining the cipher due to her study of the Protheans. Understanding them better no doubt appealed to her greatly. Shepard thought for a moment before reluctantly nodding and saying, Do it. We can then have Naruto take it from my mind as well, since he can't take it from you or Shirala. Liara looked away from Naruto in embarrassment. She had heard about their theory on Naruto melding with the Asari when they had dropped Shirala off at their medical base. Naturally, the thought was embarrassing and slightly arousing to her. Ashley quickly interrupted by questioning, Do you really think that is a good idea, Commander? You already look exhausted enough. We don't really have a choice. Figuring out this vision is of paramount importance. We need to do whatever we can to help that process. Shepard snapped in slight irritation, showing how exhausted she really was. Ashley backed down though. Liara quickly melded with Shepard. The two then broke apart after several seconds. Liara sat down in her seat, breathing heavily from the experience. Melding was really difficult for her, it seemed, likely since this was apparently only her second time doing it. Naruto took the opportunity to take the cipher from Shepard as well. He did it as quickly as possible, but Shepard still was clearly fatigued once he finished. She sat back down heavily. That was incredible! All this time. All my research. Yet I never dreamed, I'm sorry. The images were so vivid. I never imagined the experience would be so intense. You are remarkably strong-willed, Commander. What you've been through and seen, it would have destroyed a lesser mind, Liara announced to the group. Well, did you see anything? Kaden questioned. Naruto and Liara met eyes, and silent communication passed through them. Liara quickly announced, The beacon must have been badly damaged. Parts of the vision are missing. We were able to figure out the parts that were there, but it is still incomplete. Saren must have another beacon. If we can find the missing parts, I can whoa. Liara cut off when she started wobbling unsteadily. She then added, I'm sorry. The joining is exhausting. I can't do any more right now, so I'll go to the medical bay and lie down. Shepard nodded and told the group, We're done here. Dismissed. The group started dispersing at that. Joker's voice soon appeared over the intercom. I've sent off the Pharaoh's report, Commander. Do you want me to patch you through to the council? Patch them through, Joker, Shepard answered immediately. Naruto walked to her side. She nodded at him, permitting his presence. Patching them though now, Commander, Joker announced. The 3 holograms of the counselors appeared. Tevos was the first to speak. Commander, Exogeny should have told us about the Thorian. It would have made your job much easier. Valen then added, It is a shame though that you destroyed it. Capturing it would have been an excellent opportunity to study it. Valen ended by looking at Naruto. Naruto grimaced as he declared, I won't enslave a sentient creature like that, honored counselor. Valen quickly protested. But killing it is such a waste. Is morality really that important to you? So you wouldn't care if I took control of a Solarian, maybe even yourself? Naruto questioned. Valen didn't reply, so Naruto explained fiercely. It doesn't matter what it was. It had sentience, and thus it had the right to choose its own path. It chose to act as it did. Taking away that right is simply wrong. It is not an ability is used simply for convenience, honored counselor. Only necessity. Valen sighed, but nodded and he commented, I suppose you are right. Such an ability is to be used as sparsely as possible. Naruto nodded, but then informed him. Study of the Thorian isn't impossible though, even with it dead. I'm sure you can gain many quality samples of its body and DNA before it starts to decompose. Your scientists could easily use Shu's hope as a gathering force for the remains. The only thing we lost is the chance to study its intellect and personality, and considering it viewed people as animals as meat, trying to do such would simply put anyone around it in danger. Yes, that is true. Either way, I'll make sure a science team is sent with Shu's hope as the staging point, Valen admitted thoughtfully. Naruto did a jig in his head. Hopefully this would help the colony somewhat if Exogeny pulled their support. So perhaps this turned out for the best. At least the colony was saved, Tevos commented diplomatically. Spiratus quickly interjected. Of course it was saved. Shepard would go to any lengths to save a human colony. Shepard looked slightly affronted at the insult, but Naruto retorted before she could. It isn't about it being a human colony. It was just a colony. It is our responsibility to save anyone we can. Spiratus looked slightly annoyed, but Tevos interrupted before an argument could break out. That is true, but please remember that stopping Saren is your primary goal. While we don't disapprove of your extra efforts, many more people will be hurt if Saren isn't stopped. Shepard nodded and stated, I understand. Now there are a few more issues we need to discuss. Firstly, this Shirala. What is her current status? Tevos questioned. Shepard straightened as she replied. She is currently resting in our medical bay. I'm surprised you kept her alive. It even states you offered her a position on your crew. I hope you know what you are doing. She did work with Saren, after all, Spiratus remarked in a scathing voice. Shepard kept her cool though and replied crisply. That is exactly why I offered her the position. She has information that could possibly help us. Even if she doesn't join my crew, I hope to learn more from her before she leaves. Can you trust her though? Valen questioned. Naruto answered that by claiming, she feels genuine regret over her previous actions and gratitude towards us for freeing her. Her distaste for Saren is also true. I'm sure she has no plans to betray us. The counselors weighed his words, considering his abilities and his trustworthiness. Tevos finally told them, we'll leave it to the commander to decide. Naruto now announced, we should also talk about this indoctrination process Saren has. Yes, we read about it in the report. I admit I am skeptical about it. Seems unlikely that Saren had developed a method of control like that. Mind control has always been thought impossible, Spiratus claimed. The Thorian managed it. Who's to say Saren can't do the same? Shepard pointed out reasonably. If it is true, then Saren is an even bigger threat than we realized. This simply makes your mission all the more important, Valen stated. Naruto nodded, but explained. I understand that, but I brought it up for one point specifically. Matriarch Benizia. Shirala claims that Benizia is also indoctrinated. If we encounter her, I might be able to remove the influence Saren has over her. I simply wanted to know what you wanted me to do. The counselors stayed silent for several moments. They looked at each other before Tevos answered reluctantly. Benizia is an influential person in the galaxy, even considering her association with Saren. She is too powerful a tool for Saren to be able to wield. We would appreciate her being freed, but if it jeopardizes the mission, then you shouldn't hesitate to kill her. Naruto nodded and then declared in a determined voice. Then I shall save her. If she is a victim, then I shall ensure that she is rescued. The counselors stared at him for several moments. Spiritus then spoke. As long as it does not jeopardize the mission. They all no doubt saw the resolve on his face, and knew it was useless to try and convince him away from that goal. Tevos turned to Shepard and claimed, We will be awaiting your next report, Commander. We'll stay here for a bit longer, but unless another lead pops up on Saren, we'll soon be heading to the Citadel for supplies, Shepard announced. The counselors nodded before their holograms flicked out of existence. Shepard immediately groaned out. I need to sleep. My head is hurting. If anyone wakes me up within 10 hours, I'll give them latrine cleaning duties for a week. I'll make Naruto drunk? That is just asking for trouble. Part 3. Kuratsuchi had to force herself not to step back when Naruto approached her with a weird grin on his face and his hands making squeezing motions. She questioned anxiously. What are you planning, Naruto? You were yelling for me all over the ship and were just telling Samui and Mabui to do perverted things. Naruto just grinned as he replied, Oh, nothing. I'm just gathering the underwear of all the hot women on board in order to hang them from a pole over my tent. That way I am properly showing my dominance over them all, and your set will be the centerpiece, Kuro-chan. Like hell you will! Kuratsuchi yelled in an enraged voice. She then continued, You'll be doing that over my dead body. Naruto just tilted his head with a grin as he stated, There isn't much you can do to stop me though, Kuro-chan. Kuratsuchi growled, but couldn't really deny it. In a straight-up fight she didn't stand a chance. That didn't mean she wasn't going to try though. She released some of her chakra and growled out, Watch me. Naruto just smiled and released a bit of his own chakra to match hers. The two then started increasing the amount they were releasing like a contest. Soon the entire ship started to vibrate from the pure power in the air. Commander. Can you do something? The ship can't really handle any more of their dick-sizing contest, Joker stated over the intercom in Shepard room. Shepard meanwhile was curled up in her bed, covers pulled up over her body and holding a pillow over her head to block out everything. She also kept repeating to herself, If I don't hear or see them, then they aren't there. If they aren't there, then it isn't my responsibility to try and stop them. If I don't hear or see them, then they aren't there. If they aren't there, then it isn't my responsibility to try and stop them. Joker's sweat dropped when he heard the mutterings of the commander. Naruto still had a grin on his face as he commented, I really doubt the ship can take much more of this, Kuro-chan. The two were by now releasing so much chakra that it was visible to the naked eye. Kuratsuchi looked around. The ship was actually shaking. Most of the people still around were cowering on the floor, the pressure of their chakras being too much for them. If they released even more chakra, and Naruto still had a buttload of chakra left, then the ship might simply break apart. Kuratsuchi had no desire to be spaced either. It sounded really dangerous. Knowing Naruto clearly wasn't in a proper state of mind to make the reasonable choice, Kuratsuchi had to. Her shoulders slumped, and she announced, All right. I give up. You can have my underwear. Really? Cool! Naruto exclaimed with a smile as he approached. When he got close enough though, a vicious grin appeared on Kuratsuchi's face. She then screamed, Like hell I'd say that! At the same time her right leg came up and landed a chakra-enhanced kick straight between Naruto's legs. Her victorious grin disappeared though when the pained Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke, leaving her momentarily unbalanced with a leg in the air. During that moment she felt a breeze pass her and certain pieces of her clothing disappear. Her head slowly turned to see a grinning Naruto holding her conservative white underwear. Good try, but I'm too awesome to fall for that, Naruto declared before he darted away. Kuratsuchi stood frozen for several moments before she fell to her hands and knees. She then muttered with a dark cloud over her head, He got me, the shame! You know that Varen don't make very good pets. Even to Krogan. Too vicious. Beasts of war, sure, but pets, no. Rex announced as he watched Naruto on the floor playing with Pip. Naruto didn't reply at first. He was more concerned with playing with Pip. The Varen pup seemed to have grown slightly, despite it only being 1 day since he had picked it up. Right now Naruto was rolling it over repeatedly as it tried to gnaw on his fingers. Its small teeth had already pricked his fingers a few times, so he had to be careful. He finally replied nonchalantly, "Don't worry. I read about them. I got the whole eating things before they even die thing covered." Rex tilted his head and asked, "Really? How?" "My telepathy. For animals without sentience, it is far easier to control or modify their behavior. For something like this where the brain is still developing, it really is just too easy. Even now I'm curbing some of Pip's natural bloodthirsty and vicious instincts. At the current rate, I'll be done in 2 days. After that I'll only have to do a session maybe once a week till he is full grown to ensure his brain development doesn't interfere," Naruto claimed without looking up from playing with Pip. "Pretty impressive," Rex stated in an impressed voice, but he then added, "Although I admit to being unsure about a passive Varen. Seems like you are taking away part of them by making it a friendly pet." Naruto chuckled before clarifying, "You don't need to worry. I'm not making it totally passive. I'm just taking away the worst instincts, and giving it the ability to distinguish between friends, enemies, and neutrals. If anything, its intelligence is increasing from our minds melding during this development period. It will be friendly and docile around friends, and vicious to enemies. It will even retain its basic instincts in order to tell the difference between the two." As he stopped talking, Naruto straightened to look at Rex. Pip realized that playtime was over, and stumbled over to the nearby wall. It then curled up to rest. "Scratch my earlier statement. That's very impressive," Rex announced with a chuckle. He then continued eagerly. "So finish the story about this Zabuza, the man who was called a demon." Naruto chuckled and leaned against the wall beside Rex, and informed him. "Well, Zabuza didn't react at first to Haku's death, just saying that he did his job as a tool. He tried to continue the fight against Kakashi-sensei, but really didn't stand a chance since he had like 10 dog bites over his arms and shoulders. Kakashi-sensei drove 2 kunai into his upper arms, and thus crippled him. Before he was finished though, Gato showed up with a bunch of mercenaries. Declared that Zabuza was more like a puppy than a demon, and claimed that he hadn't intended to pay Zabuza at all. He had just wanted us to weaken each other so that he could finish us off. He could then actually make money by claiming the bounties." "Fool!" Rex spat before continuing. "I've met a few employers like that. They never last long. Usually meet their end on the end of my gun." Naruto nodded and replied, "I know. Gato got his comeuppance though. Before that though, he kicked Haku's body. I really didn't like that. So I started yelling at Zabuza, asking why he didn't care. That Haku considered him a father, and gave his life for him. All that jazz." Well, Zabuza started crying, and admitted that he did care for Haku as more than a tool. So he then asked for a kunai from Kakashi. He caught it between the teeth and charged forward. His arms useless and only a kunai between his teeth, he charged towards at least 100 mercs without hesitation in order to make Gato pay. He took out at least a dozen mercs, and took like 3 spears in his back before he reached Gato. He then cut him till he fell of the bridge. Naturally he died afterwards due to his words, but he died a man. Not a demon. Yes, that's a good death. A death worthy of a true warrior, Rex agreed. Naruto nodded and there was a moment of silence as he remembered the event. He then shook his head and pointed out. Now I told you a story. Got any good stories for me? I've been a merc for 3 centuries. I've got plenty of stories, Rex answered. No, I don't want a merc story. I have enough stories of fighting myself. I want to hear about something else, Naruto claimed. Rex looked at him before asking. Like what? Naruto thought for a moment before saying. Tell me something about Tuchanka. From a Krogan's perspective. Rex didn't seem too happy, but grunted out. I guess I can tell you a story or 2 from my younger years. I don't feel much like talking about the Krogan rebellions or the genophage though. Why not? Naruto innocently asked. Just leave it, Naruto. If you want to hear about that, I'll have to have drunk far more than now, Rex told him seriously. He then continued in a slightly lighter voice. I guess I can tell you about my rite of passage. When a Krogan reaches maturity, typically around 20 years old, they are marked by an intense urge to prove themselves and be acknowledged. So they take a rite of passage. By finishing a rite of passage, a Krogan earns a place within a clan. Membership in a clan allows one to own property, join the clan forces, and apply to serve under a battle master. I decided to take the rite of passage for Clan Erdnot. It was one of the strongest clans. I ended up taking the rite with 4 of my clan who also wished to join Clan Erdnot. We went to a particular area and had to ring a keystone 3 times, a type of bell which attracts the wildlife of Tuchenka. We easily handled the first 2 waves, but the 3rd time drew a thresher maw. They are basically the top predator on Tuchenka, and that is saying something. As long as you survive a certain amount of time against the thresher maw, they will typically leave. Only a minute in though, one of my clan was killed by it. I entered a blood rage because of it, and attacked the thresher maw along with the others. I don't much remember the fight, but when I regained my senses my remaining clan and the thresher maw lay dead. I'm still unsure how I did it, since I lacked any heavy weapons, but I did it. Even back then when Krogan were far more numerous it was a rare occurrence for a Krogan to actually kill the thresher maw. Hadn't been done in over 3 centuries. The respect I earned from Clan Erdnot for doing it is immense. Hasn't happened again in the 8 centuries since the Krogan rebellions and genophage. So you are some sort of big shot in your clan? Naruto asked with a grin. Yeah. I was actually named the leader of one of the smaller Erdnot clans 3 years later. 23 years old. That was the youngest leader in over 1,000 years, since before we even became part of the galactic community. The year after that marked the beginning of the Krogan rebellions. When it ended 30 years later, I was one of the few battle masters that survived the war. So that increased my respect and influence even more. Even now, after being gone for 3 centuries, I could probably go back to Tuchenka and reclaim leadership of Clan Erdnot at any time with minimal difficulties. Rex announced somewhat proudly. So why don't you? Why are you a mercenary when you could retake control of your entire clan? Naruto questioned curiously. Rex scowled before replying simply. I led my own small part of Erdnot clan for 3 centuries, and then the entire clan for 1.5 more centuries. I even tried to become a leader for the Krogan people after the genophage. Let's just say that I got tired of the job. You got tired of the dash. Naruto repeated in confusion before Rex raised a hand to stop him. Just leave it for now, Naruto. It is unpleasant to remember, Rex requested somberly. Part of Naruto really wanted to continue pressing him, but he decided to respect Rex's privacy till he decided to share by his own volition. The two exchanged some goodbyes before Naruto left the thoughtful Rex. He stopped in the middle of the storage bay, wondering what to do now. He finally decided to go into the engine room. Naruto didn't spend much time in there because he really didn't understand much of what was going on, and he didn't want to get in the way of the engineers there. Naruto walked in and looked at the room. It was a large open room. Around half a dozen engineers walked around the platform that was before the large blue orb with multiple rotating parts around it. There were several monitors around the platform where the engineers were working. Mr. Uzumaki? A voice spoke. Naruto turned in response to see that it was Lieutenant Gregory Adams, the chief engineer. He was a rather calm and laid-back man in Naruto's opinion. Naruto grinned and approached him before asking, Adams, how are things? Not bad, Mr. Uzumaki. What are you doing down here? Need something? Adams replied. Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly before saying, Kind of. I was just bored. Figured I might as well learn a few more things about the ship. Think you can help? I'd usually be glad to tell you a bit about the Normandy. Best ship I've ever seen, Adams stated enthusiastically, before continuing in a guilty voice. But I can't right now. I have to reconfigure the cooling apparatus before the engines overheat. You can ask Tali though. She's only been here a few weeks, but she already knows about a lot of the systems. I wish my engineers were half as smart as her. At this rate, She'll know more about the Normandy than me in a bit. He then pointed behind Naruto. Naruto looked to see Tali working on one of the monitors. He nodded at Adams before walking towards Tali. He stopped behind her and looked over her shoulder before asking, "What ya doing, Tali?" Tali froze before turning her head and letting out a sigh of relief. She then protested. "Don't sneak up on me like that, Naruto. It's unnerving." Naruto just chuckled and countered with, "But it's fun." Tali shook her head and sighed in response before turning back to the monitor. She started typing again as she questioned, "What do you want, Naruto?" "I just wanted to know a bit more about the Normandy. If I'm going to be on here for a while, then I'd like to know about the ship I'm staying on. Adams said you could help me," Naruto answered. Tali turned to him, her head tilted to indicate her curiosity. She then claimed, "Sure. I'd be happy to help you. What do you want to know?" Naruto shrugged and gestured towards the engine as he said, "Anything really. I really know only the bare minimum about everything here. The stuff on the Codex Shepard gave us on my planet. So anything you can tell me would be fine." "I see," Tali mumbled. She finally nodded and then gestured towards the blue orb and started. "Then the first things you should know about are the internal emissions sink stealth systems and Tantalus drive core. They are what really make the Normandy such a unique and high-level ship. Through them the Normandy is able to move without releasing heat, thus giving it its stealth capabilities." Naruto just sweat dropped before telling her, "Please remember that I know diddly squat about space travel. Think you can give it to me slower and with smaller words?" "Sorry, I'll try to explain everything in more basic terms," Tali apologized before trying again. "The thing you need to know about space is that it is near absolute zero in temperature. So the heat a ship gives off is easily detectable. That is how most sensors work. They pick up the heat a ship releases. Because of this, stealth space travel has always been thought impossible. That is what makes the Normandy so unique and revolutionary. Through the IES systems, or internal emission sinks, the Normandy can store the heat it routinely gives off in lithium heat sinks for a period of time. Then there is the Tantalus drive core. It is at least twice the size of any other ship core of any ship I've ever seen of this size. I'm amazed it even fit. Thus it can generate far larger and more complex mass effect fields than any I've ever seen. So it can create mass concentrations that allowed the Normandy to literally move by falling into the area before it. It is slower than the traditional heat thrusters it usually uses, but this way it doesn't release any heat when moving. So together the Normandy can actually become undetectable by ship's sensors." "Wow," Naruto muttered in understanding. He then added, "So this is a really new and high-tech ship, huh?" "Yes, it is. I was truly amazed the first few days on it. So much spare room, and the amount of money that must have been put into it is truly mind-boggling to me. I even had difficulty sleeping the first few days because it ran so quietly compared to the ships in the migrant fleet. It really is in a league of its own compared to what ships I've seen in the migrant fleet." Tali gushed in clear awe. "I've heard about the migrant fleet. A massive fleet containing your entire species. Some 50,000 ships holding 17 million Quarians. It is quite a thought," Naruto commented thoughtfully. "It is. Even I sometimes have trouble truly understanding the size of the migrant fleet. Besides, when we switch ships after our pilgrimage, Quarians almost always stay on their home ship. We sometimes go to others for brief periods of time, but that isn't often. Even looking out a window only allows us to see one or two ships that are close enough for us to see. It doesn't feel like 50,000 honestly," Tali admitted to herself. "Still, that comes out to over 300 people per ship. Far more if you take out ships that aren't meant to live on, like patrol or military ships. Isn't it cramped?" Naruto asked in a mixed tone of apologetic and awkwardness. "Yes, it can be," Tali admitted without shame before continuing. "But it isn't bad either. It almost has a homely charm. There are always people to talk to, and the limited space means you tend to know everyone on your ship. The Normandy, by contrast, can almost feel disconnected. Maybe it is just because I'm Aquarian, but I feel like there is a barrier between me and the crew. Very impersonal compared to the Rhea." "Sounds like you miss it," Naruto observed sympathetically. I do. Compared to the rest of the galaxy, the migrant fleet might seem cramped and poor, but it is still my home. It always will be. Of course I miss it, Tali divulged honestly. Naruto nodded as he leaned against the nearby wall. He then claimed, I understand. There is something comforting about your home that can't really be matched. Tali nodded, but seemed to realize the implication of his words. She immediately apologized. I'm sorry. You are also away from your home. I shouldn't be burdening you. Naruto waved his hand as he told her nonchalantly. No worries. I entered a self-imposed exile 5 years ago in order to keep the balance. I'm used to being on the road. Really? Why would you do that? Tali asked in slight disbelief. Naruto had forgotten that she hadn't been one of the party he had told back on Varmore. So he shrugged and told her. I became very powerful and influential after the war. Not only would my presence in Konoha have unbalanced the power of the villages, but I had places where I could contribute more. My mere presence could stop wars. I also had friends in a lot of places that I had to keep in touch with. Very admirable. You actually sound a bit like my father, Tali claimed softly. Naruto tilted his head curiously before replying. Your father, huh? I really don't know much about him. Yes, my father Railzora is one of the 5 admirals of the Quarian people, Tali informed him. Really? Naruto asked with wide eyes. He then whistled and commented. So you are almost some sort of royalty among the Quarians. Neat. It doesn't really work like that. Quarians are chosen for the Admiralty Board by merit. It isn't hereditary, Tali replied hesitantly. I suspected as such, but you still must be of some importance, Naruto pointed out. Tali now looked uncomfortable as she answered. I guess that is true, although whether it is due to my father's position or his attitude is uncertain. What do you mean by that? Naruto questioned. Tali reluctantly informed him. Father always expected much from me. I think he hopes that I'll succeed him as a leader for the Quarians. I'm actually considered a mechanical genius, a skill highly prized among my people. He's made sure I cultivate it, and learn everything else I would ever need. So the standards have always been set high for me. I am even expected to bring something back, something of greater value from my pilgrimage than other Quarians. So yes, I am of greater importance than the typical Quarian. I hope though that it is due to my own effort and ability rather than simply due to my father's position. Naruto decided to take the topic away from this clearly sensitive topic, and said, You talked about how I reminded you of your father. Tali clearly was relieved to change the topic, and continued. My father is very dedicated to the Quarian people. He would do anything for the welfare of the migrant fleet and the Quarian people. So your self-imposed exile for the sake of your people reminded me of him. On the other hand, you are completely different from him. All right. I'll bite. Why am I different from him? Naruto asked with a raised eyebrow. Tali hesitated before stating. My father is so dedicated to his job that he can come off as cold or aloof. You seem very. She clearly hesitated at the end. Joking. Light-hearted. Cheery. Feel free to stop me when I've got the right word, Naruto suggested with his grin. Exactly my point, Tali deadpanned. Naruto shrugged before explaining easily. I like being a happy person. I can be serious when I want to, but what would it accomplish to act like that all the time? All it'd do is turn me all grouchy. Smiling makes you happy, and frowning makes you unhappy. It really is quite simple. Tali chuckled before claiming. Simple, but I like it. Your smile is really nice to see. Really cheers the day up for me. Naruto grinned before raising an eyebrow at her and saying, Wow, I didn't think you thought of me that way. Tali didn't seem to understand for a moment before he could hear her take a deep breath from the realization. She immediately stuttered out. That isn't what I meant. I meant that you lighten the mood on the Normandy, since everyone else is so serious. I know, Naruto told her between his bursts of laughing due to her reaction. Geez! You just love to see people flustered, don't you, Naruto? Tali muttered in exasperation, although Naruto could detect the undertone of amusement and fondness. What? It is entertaining, Naruto defended. Whatever, Tali replied with a shrug. She doubted nothing she could say would stop him, not that she particularly wanted him to. He really was good at lightening the tension. She then asked him, Oh, yeah? Have you heard? Shirala is staying aboard the Normandy. Naruto looked at her with side eyes and immediately questioned. Really? How do you know? I was in the med bay because Dr. Chuck wanted me to answer some questions about Quarian physiology about an hour ago. Shirala woke up when I was there. Shepard came down when I was still there, and I overheard Shirala saying that she would stay aboard the Normandy. Tali explained to him. Should have expected. Dr. Chuck is always asking me or one of the others if she can conduct any tests on us. She really is a doctor through and through, Naruto muttered to himself. He then turned and started walking away. He looked over his shoulder and told Tali, I'm going to the med bay. They might still be talking. Wait, Tali called out, forcing Naruto to a stop. When he faced her, she questioned, What about learning more about the Normandy? I barely told you anything. Naruto scratched the back of his head sheepishly. He had forgotten that was why he started talking to her in the first place. He soon told her, Sorry, I forgot about that. How about this? I'll come down here when we are heading to the Citadel, and you can explain to me everything else I don't know. Oh, all right, Tali replied in a slightly disappointed manner. Naruto felt sorry, but decided he'd make it up to her later. So he turned and quickly walked out of the engine room and took the elevator up. He then moved to the med bay and opened the door to see the scene inside. Shirala was clothed in a hospital gown and was sitting down on one of the beds. Shepard was leaning against the wall with her arms crossed. Dr. Chuck was at her desk, typing away at her computer. The surprising thing was that Liara was there, currently talking to Shirala. The entire group turned to look at Naruto when he entered. He raised a hand and nonchalantly announced, Yo! Naruto, what are you doing here? Shepard asked curiously, moving away from the wall. I just heard that a certain emissary was going to be staying on the Normandy, and decided to come up, Naruto answered with a grin in Shirala's direction. Shirala seemed somewhat embarrassed by the sight of him and his words, but quickly suppressed it. She instead gave a small bow of her head before claiming, Yes, I did a quick check with the colony. They already received word that the Council will be using it as a base for studying the Thorian remains, and they shall be able to monitor the effects the Thorians' influence causes by observing the colonists. With them there, Jews hope shall do fine. I shall contribute most aboard the Normandy. I shall pass on any more information I can give about Benizia, Saren, and Sovereign. I shall also do my best to train young Liara here. Her biotic ability is amazingly well developed for only being 106. She clearly inherited her mother's natural talent in that regard, but her weapon skills and hand-to-hand combat could use some work. Time is limited, but I should be able to help her whenever we have free time at the Citadel. I know a few training facilities there that we can use. That's nice of you. Any increased combat ability Liara can gain will only make her more safe on missions, Naruto commented. Liara looked somewhat embarrassed by the entire topic. Yes, that is the hope. I shall also be available for missions if the commander wishes, but that is unlikely to be a common occurrence. My loyalty is still in question due to the indoctrination and my relationship to Matriarch Benizia and Saren, Shirala explained. Naruto looked annoyed, but he was stopped before he could protest that by bowing her head in his direction and continuing in an earnest tone. I should thank you, Uzumaki Naruto. You argued in my defense to the council. I appreciate it. Naruto just waved his hand and claimed casually, No problem. I know you are honest about all that has happened to you. It is my responsibility to make that clear to them. Still, I thank you for it, Shirala stated firmly. Before anything else could be brought up, Dr. Chuck was announced. All right, that is enough for now. Shirala should have more rest before I declare her fit for duty. She should be allowed to leave in 12 hours or so, but until then she should be allowed to rest. So unfortunately you should leave. Naruto was about to protest, but Dr. Chukwa's had her serious doctor look on her face, and he knew she wasn't going to budge. So Naruto just lowered his head in defeat and left alongside Shepard and Liara. When the three got outside the med bay, Naruto asked, "So what is going to happen now? We've dallied here long enough. I'm going to set course for the Citadel. We'll resupply and get any other business we have there done. Then there are several small tasks we can do till we get another lead on Saren." Shepard immediately told him. "Got it. How long do we have until we arrive at the Citadel?" Naruto questioned nonchalantly. "I'm guessing about 20, give or take a few hours. I'll go give Joker the new orders now," Shepard informed him before walking away. Naruto looked at Liara with a grin and commented, "Looks like we got another Asari on board now. Happy?" Liara shrugged before claiming, "I guess. It is a bit of a relief, I admit, but I was handling it fine before. If anything, I'm more interested in Shirala because of her service to my mother than because she is another Asari." "What do you mean?" "Well, as you know, my mother and I lost touch with each other for the past few decades. It has also been during this time that my mother's influence has expanded in the galaxy. Before that, she had only been a matriarch for several decades. Now she has been for over a century. So I am not quite as familiar with what she has been doing for the past few decades. Since Shirala has been serving her, I was hoping she could explain a bit more to me," Liara explained. She then tilted her head and added, "I also guess that I should be thankful she'll be going out of her way to improve my combat skills." Seeing her hesitation, Naruto quickly said in a teasing voice, "You don't seem too excited though. Not looking forward to it?" "Well, I am an archaeologist, not a commando. Learning biotics was simply a necessity for dealing with any threats, but I've never needed much else. Now I am apparently going to get a crash course in Asari commando tactics and skills. If this entire situation never happened, I likely wouldn't have ever decided to learn such skills. I think I deserve a bit of leniency as such," Liara retorted. Naruto nodded in understanding. Her words were true. Liara wasn't like Naruto or any other shinobi who were basically raised to fight. Among the entire group, likely only Tali could be considered more of a civilian. Her being hesitant over basically being forced to undergo military training was reasonable. Naruto patted her shoulder before telling her reassuringly, "Don't worry about it. It isn't going to be as bad as you think. You're used to real-life firefights. Practicing techniques won't be nearly as intense." "I hope so. I don't particularly enjoy fighting, and don't much relish the thought of having to work on perfecting the art," Liara claimed. Naruto just shrugged, unsure of how to respond. It isn't like he can relate too much. Naruto loved fighting. If he could have a good fight every day, then he'd go to sleep every night with a smile, no matter how much his body hurt. So he was sort of clueless on how to relate to a more intellectual person like Liara. So he just waved goodbye and walked away. He soon decided on a destination and headed towards the ship's storage area. After going down the elevator, Naruto walked to the far corner of the area where Ashley was furiously cleaning a rifle. Naruto immediately decided that it was a good idea he came. Seems the rumor that Shirala was joining them had already reached Ashley. "Yo!" Naruto announced as he approached. Ashley looked at him from the corner of her eyes, but didn't make any response. Naruto sighed and commented, "I see someone heard a bit of news they don't like." "Oh, you mean the bit of news about an Asari commando joining us? A commando that was working with the enemy not even a week ago? Then yes, I've heard," Ashley spat out. Naruto flinched. Yep, she definitely wasn't happy. Not that Naruto could really blame her. Ashley seems like the straight-laced, by-the-book type of person. There is nothing by the book about the crew by this point. Naruto sighed again and spoke up. "Shirala really isn't that bad. There are very extenuating circumstances about her being with Saren before." "I don't care," Ashley immediately stated, drawing a surprised silence from Naruto. She almost immediately sighed and rubbed her temple before continuing in a small voice. "I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a bitch. I'm just a little irritated." Naruto waved his hand and told her nonchalantly, Don't worry about it. I've dealt with much worse, and don't worry about Shiral either. Just trust me. No offense, but I don't really trust you enough for that, Ashley claimed bluntly, making Naruto blink again. He really has to adapt to interacting with people who don't know him again. He's gotten too used to being a big deal. Ashley continued though by adding, I do however trust Shepard. If she feels like this is a good idea, then I'll get over it. Somewhat disappointed by the fact that he really didn't do anything, Naruto decided to just leave it at that. He had just wanted to make sure that Ashley wasn't too mad by another alien joining the crew. Trying anything else would be futile. She was right. Naruto didn't have enough pull with her to try and influence her any. They were basically strangers. So after a quick goodbye, he turned and headed towards the engine room. Had to learn from Tali like he promised on the way to the Citadel. Not bad. Not bad at all, Naruto muttered to himself. He was overheard though, and a voice exclaimed in disbelief. Not bad? That is your reaction to seeing the Citadel for the first time. Not amazing, or even holy hell. Just not bad? Naruto turned to look at Joker with amusement, and commented. I have learned that there is an entire galactic civilization within the past 2 weeks. A space station, no matter how large, can't really compare with knowing I can go from one end of the galaxy to another within a few days. Joker blinked before shrugging and replying. Can't really argue with that. Naruto chuckled and turned back to the window to look at the Citadel. He couldn't hold back his grin, already anticipating the next adventure. Chapter end.
Now watch daily exclusive and censored lemon stories and mature content, along with NSFW images, featuring Harem girls characters from the fics. Access all this and more on my Patreon. Click the link in the description to explore.